Chapter 61, Task Generation. Zhang Tianchen is the only other ace barrister at Jingchen law firm, apart from Zhao Gaozhua. And he is even better than Zhao Gaozhua, the chief barrister of Jingchen law firm. On the outside, he looks ordinary, with a square face. Even when he is expressionless, he does not have the outgoing and powerful aura of Zhao Gaozhua. Instead, he seems somewhat refined and easygoing, as if he is a very approachable person. But those who know Zhang Tianchen well know that he is known as the lawyer's ghost. The nightmare of all opponents. He has been in the industry for more than 10 years and has maintained a 100% winning rate, without a single defeat. He has created a generation of myths in the lawyer community of the imperial capital. With his status and abilities, he is the most suitable person to handle this matter of contacting the new first shareholder. The reason he is so late is because he went to study Lin Yan's personal information. From the information shared the other party's usual behavior and hobbies, thereby improving the success rate of this contact and avoid leaving a bad impression. You should be clear about the identity of the first shareholder, right? Yes, I understand. Although the email they sent was not very comprehensive, it was enough to understand. I will leave the task of contacting the other party to you. You must get along with the other party and try to meet whatever demands they make. Of course, don't worry, I will do my best. The other side. Zhanghai number 1, inside the bedroom. System? What is the reason for this automatic upgrade? Lin Yan asked silently in his mind. The system upgrade was sudden. If he could figure out the reason for the system upgrade, then in the future, he could try to take some actions to actively promote the system upgrade. This system upgrade is the result of a combination of factors. The host has not completed the daily lottery for 2 consecutive days, and has repeatedly expressed dissatisfaction with the rewards, so this function is removed. Host, your recent behavior has been too laid back and unorganized, and you have not activated any system tasks, so the experience function has been added. Lin Yan suddenly realized what was going on. The rewards for the daily general sweepstakes during this period of time have either been a few dollars or a few cents, and the best one was only 100,000 yuan, so he had been a bit distracted these past 2 days. Last night he was even too busy with something, so naturally he completely forgot about it. However, this time the system has upgraded itself, and there are rewards and new experience functions that can be turned on proactively, generating experience tasks with rewards for completing them. In any case, it's all great news. Sitting up in bed, Lin Yan brought up the system panel. Sure enough, a new function bar appeared on the panel, with the words, yes/no, at the back. This was asking if he wanted to turn it on, and if he chose to turn it on, experience tasks would be generated. The initiative was in Lin Yan's own hands. System, enable the experience function. Ding, the experience module is starting. You will experience the wonderful life in all its diversity. Successfully started, the experience options are loading randomly. Loading complete. Current experience option, outdoor anchor. Yes/no confirm now? After confirmation, the corresponding task will be generated. If you refuse now, the host can choose to enable it at any time within 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, the current option will be automatically cleared, and the host can reload it to experience a random option. Experience being an outdoor anchor? It's not bad. Lin Yan has already done a live broadcast before, so he has some experience. With live broadcasts, the schedule is more flexible. He can broadcast whenever he wants, without the 996 restrictions. It's relaxing and carefree. If you don't want to take this experience option, you have to wait for the 2-week cooling off period. In 2 weeks, he might have already completed the task, so take it. Confirm. Ding, the outdoor anchor experience task is complete, 1 million rewards. Million rewards, please host a live broadcast and receive a total of 1 million gift rewards. Current progress, 0/1000000. Note, all gift rewards must be spontaneous actions by passers-by and fans, and gift rewards obtained through self-brushing, proxy brushing, friend support, gift draws, etc. will not be counted towards the progress of completing the task. Get 100 W gift rewards? Last time it was live broadcast popularity, and this time it's gift rewards. That's not going to be easy. Lin Yan often watches live broadcasts, and he knows the gift flow of most anchors. Excluding gift draws, guild support, and self-brushing popularity, the amount of gifts that are actually supported by rewards from the audience and fans in the live broadcast room only accounts for a relatively small proportion. This part of the flow can exceed 6 digits per month, and it is already considered a pretty good big anchor. Although Lin Yan received more than 500,000 gift rewards when he last started broadcasting, most of them were brushed by anchors under the Xingyi Guild or by himself. The gifts that were actually rewarded by passers-by and fans were probably between 30,000 and 40,000. This gift flow is absolutely unattainable for other new anchors. However, compared to the million rewards for the task, there is a big gap. If you calculate this way, you need to do at least 1 or 2 dozen live broadcasts to complete this task? Lin Yan was relatively calm. Anyway, it can be accumulated slowly, there is no rush. Mu Bingyao only woke up leisurely at noon. She didn't have Lin Yan's stamina, and last night really exhausted her. After eating the kanji that Lin Yan fed her, she regained a little strength. Mu Bingyao lay on the bed, her expression slightly tired, and said, "You can take me home later, there's still a plan that I need to deal with." "Okay, take care and don't tire yourself out too much." Lin Yan put down the bowl and nodded. Mu Bingyao gave him a glare. "I only get tired when I'm with you." Lin Yan was embarrassed and looked around. It wasn't entirely his fault. The two spent some more time together before Lin Yan drove her home. Ring ring ring. Lin Yan had just driven out of the Yunshan Villa area when his phone suddenly rang, from an unfamiliar number. "Hello?" Lin Yan answered. On the other end of the line, a deep, middle-aged male voice sounded. "Hello, is this Mr. Lin Yan?" "It's me." "Hello, Mr. Lin Yan, let me introduce myself, I am Zhang Tianchen, a lawyer at Gingchen Law Firm." "Well, what can I do for you?" "Mr. Lin Yan, this is the situation, I have just landed in Shanghai. I don't know if you are in Shanghai now, is it convenient for us to meet?" The system helped them acquire 51% of the shares of their law firm, so it was reasonable for them to contact them. Therefore, Lin Yan was not surprised to receive this call. However, the other party was really quick, flying from the imperial capital to Shanghai so quickly. "Sure, you can book a place, and I'll come to you." "Okay, I'll send the location to your phone later." After saying this, he hung up the phone. Zhang Tianchen was very polite and didn't waste any words. As a top lawyer, he was known for his swift and decisive actions. At the same time, he knew that for someone like Lin Yan, time was precious. If you waste even 1 second of his time, you may cause irreparable damage to the other party. Being overly polite and wasting the other person's time is not only not pleasing, but it may also turn the other person off. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yan received the first address sent by Zhang Tianchen, and was about to drive there when his phone rang again. Another call. Chapter 62, Inheritance Dispute. It was also an unfamiliar number. He answered the phone. A soft, feminine voice, slightly choked with emotion and helplessness, came through the line. "I'm sorry, Mr. Lin, I'm sorry to call you at this time." Lin Yan hadn't even said anything yet when the other party started apologizing profusely. "Who is this?" "I'm a nurse at Zhonghai City Central Hospital. My name is Li Xiaoming. Do you remember the old lady Hoifan you brought to the hospital?" I remember. What do you want?" Lin Yan asked suspiciously, not understanding why the nurse from the hospital was calling him at this time. The other end of the line seemed a little noisy. Li Xiaoming's voice was full of sobs, and she spoke intermittently with sobs. "It's like this. During the period when the old lady Hoifan was hospitalized, until her deathbed, I was responsible for taking care of her. After Mrs. Hoifang passed away, an estate lawyer contacted me and told me that before she died, she had made a will, bequeathing a 150 square meter apartment in the city center in 10 million yuan to me. At the time, the lawyer told me that in addition to me, there was also Mr. Lin, who had taken Mrs. Ho to the hospital, and that you had also received a share of the inheritance. Is that true?" Lin Yan admitted, "Well, I did receive a share of Mrs. Hoifang's inheritance, just like you. Before she died, Madame Hoifang divided her inheritance into 2 parts. Lin Yan was one of the recipients, and the other part was given to the nurse who had taken care of her." Lin Yan had heard about this from the lawyer handling the inheritance the last time. "Are you contacting me because there is a problem with Madame Ho's inheritance?" Lin Yan asked this because the two had never met before and had nothing in common other than sharing Madame Ho's inheritance. Li Xiaoming on the other end of the phone let out a few sobbing sounds before she said, I went to work at the hospital today, and suddenly a man and a woman barged in. They claimed to be the children of the elderly lady Hoifang, and then they started to shout at me, accusing me of murdering the old lady and stealing her inheritance, which should have belonged to them." The more she talked, the more aggrieved Li Xiaoming felt, and her trembling sobs involuntarily grew louder. "They caused a scene at the hospital, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get rid of them. Because I did receive the old lady's inheritance, the hospital was worried that making a big deal out of it would have a bad impact on the hospital, so they didn't want to get involved and told me to handle it myself. But they kept cursing at me, and I had no choice. So I called you. Can you come over and help me? Listening to the angry shouts and noisy sounds coming from the other end of the line, as well as Li Xiaoming's panicked voice, Lin Yan held the phone with a frown. He had probably already guessed the whole story. The two children of the elderly lady Ho Yifang had lived abroad for many years and never returned to visit. During her lifetime, they never saw them, and now that they heard that the old lady had passed away, they hurried back to inherit the estate. But when they returned and tried to inherit the estate, they discovered that the old lady had left them nothing, and had bequeathed everything to Lin Yan and Li Xiaoming. The man and woman obviously couldn't accept this result, and tried to use unscrupulous means to grab the inheritance back. They couldn't get in touch with Lin Yan, and didn't know where he was, so they turned their attention to Li Xiaoming, a young nurse working in the hospital. They went to the hospital to make things difficult for Li Xiaoming. They verbally abused her, caused trouble, and smeared her with mud, trying to force the defenseless young girl to hand over the inheritance to them through these means. Lin Yan's eyes were cold and his anger was rising. They had not shown the slightest bit of filial piety while the old lady was alive, and now that she was dead, they were fighting over the inheritance. Unfilial children. Fine, I'll go over there now. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yan started the car and drove towards the hospital. Zhonghai City's Central Hospital. At this time, the third inpatient department where the cardiology department is located. At the entrance of the inpatient department, a man and a woman were stopped by the security guard, but they refused to leave and instead blocked the entrance directly, making a lot of noise. Among the two, the mean-looking middle-aged woman had a mouth like a spring, spewing out all kinds of vicious and barbaric words. Even though she was stopped by the security guard, she kept on hurling insults at the young nurse Li Xiaoming, who was standing behind the security guard. Did you kill my mother? Did you cheat her out of her inheritance? Say something, are you ashamed and dare not speak? You have a bitch face, you are obviously a mistress. You bitch, you killed my mother and cheated her out of her house in the city center. I'm telling you, bitch, give me back my mother's inheritance right now, or I'll make you pay. The mean woman kept calling her a bitch, spewing out profanities like they were free. If it wasn't for the security guard stopping her, I'm afraid she would have charged in and attacked Li Xiaoming. As she listened to the other woman's insults, Li Xiaoming's face was streaked with tears. She reached up to wipe them away while sobbing. Her hair was a little disheveled, her face was covered in water stains, and there were 2 clear scratches. Before the security guard arrived, a head-on confrontation had actually broken out. If Li Xiaoming hadn't dodged quickly, I'm afraid the mean woman would have scratched her face. Meng Meng, don't cry. Don't cry. We don't need to pay any attention to that stupid woman. Li Xiaoming's best friend glared fiercely at the mean woman outside, then turned to her and comforted her. The man and woman had been arguing at the hospital for some time. At first, Li Xiaoming had called her best friend for help. But since her best friend was also a woman, there was nothing she could do except comfort her. In desperation, Li Xiaoming remembered that Lin Yan, who had also received an inheritance, and she had a little hope that he could help. Thank you, Jia. This little nurse and her best friend were 2 of the 5 girls who had asked Lin Yan for WeChat at the beach last night. Meng Meng and Jia, whose full names were Li Xiaoming and Xiao Jia, were the only ones who had come. The other 3 girls were further away from the hospital and were still on their way. Let's go inside, out of sight, out of mind. After a moment's hesitation, Li Xiaoming nodded, okay. She was a little tired from standing, so she went inside to sit down and rest for a while. Little bitch, don't go. Stop. Li Xiaoming turned to leave. The mean woman and the middle-aged man next to her both became anxious and worried that she would take the opportunity to sneak away. A shrill shout suddenly sounded. The mean woman and man turned their heads and shouted at the security guard blocking their way. You bastards, get out of my way. I'm warning you, get out of my way. Special thanks to IF Boss for the Great God certification. Thank you very much. Chapter 63, Unfilial Children. The security guards paid no attention to their yelling. I told you to get out of the way, didn't you hear me? Seeing that the security guards still didn't respond, the mean woman actually reached out, her long, nail-polished fingernails, and scratched the face of one of the security guards blocking her. Seeing this, the man next to her also rushed up and started pushing and shoving with the other security guards. Seeing the mean woman reaching towards him, the security guard was prepared and reached out his right hand, grabbing the mean woman's wrist. The mean woman struggled hard, trying to break free, but the difference in strength meant that her wrist was firmly grasped by the security guard and she could not break free. "Help, someone help, the hospital security guards are beating someone up, they want to kill someone." The shrill scream almost pierced the eardrums of the security guard, who was close by. Passers-by who didn't know the truth were attracted by the shrill screams of the mean woman. They turned their heads and saw a man pushing and shoving the security guards, while a woman was being held by the guards by the wrists. No matter how she struggled, she couldn't get free and was held tightly. This scene of conflict really looked like a few security guards bullying this man and woman, and everyone was talking about it. So many security guards bullying two people? Holy shit, the security guards actually hit a woman. Do they have any humanity left? Is this a medical dispute? Not necessarily. I heard that last time a nurse made a mistake and gave the patient the wrong medicine, which caused the patient to die. I can't believe it. Is this for real? I never thought that Shanghai City Central Hospital would actually make these fatal mistakes. I dare not come here again in the future. Seeing that the situation was getting out of hand and the hospital was being blamed, the security guards panicked. They had been ordered to block the way and prevent the man and woman from barging into the hospital department, disturbing the patient's rest, injuring the nurses, and making a big deal out of it. But they never expected that this mean woman would repeatedly attack them and even accuse them first, leading the crowd to believe her. And the more she talked, the more ridiculous it became. The rumors of a wrong medication that killed someone are all lies. If this gets out, the hospital will have to spend a lot of effort to dispel the rumors. Taking advantage of the moment when the security guard was distracted, the mean woman finally broke free from his grip. Then she turned around and ran past him before he could stop her. "You little bitch, don't run." Seeing that the security guard had not stopped the mean woman, who was charging at her angrily, Li Xiaoming panicked for a moment. This mean woman is really fierce. Not only is she vicious with her words, but she also hits people whenever she disagrees with them. Li Xiaoming, who is on the softer side, is no match for her at all. The injuries on her body were caused by the mean woman's scratches. "Don't be afraid, Meng Meng." Xiao Zhezhe didn't hesitate to stand in front of Li Xiaoming to stop the mean woman. "Get out of my way, you bitch. Old woman, how dare you curse me?" Xiao Zhezhe is just as fierce, and the two women instantly started fighting. Scratching faces, pulling hair, attacking the three lower routes, all vicious moves. But after less than 3 rounds, because Xiao Zhezhe had rushed over from work and was still wearing high heels, when she shoved the mean woman, she suddenly stumbled. Her feet were unsteady and she nearly fell, but fortunately Li Xiaoming caught her in time. "Sister Zhezhe, are you okay?" Li Xiaoming asked with a panicked face. "I'm fine, I just twisted my foot a little." While the two were talking, the mean woman switched targets and grabbed Li Xiaoming with her long nails. "Little bitch, give me back my mother's house and money." Seeing the sharp nails scratching towards her face, Li Xiaoming was unable to avoid it as she was holding Xiao Zhezhe. She subconsciously closed her eyes in fear. But after a long time, there was no pain on her face, nor on her body. Li Xiaoming subconsciously opened her eyes and saw the mean woman's sharp fingernails, which were close to her face. However, she was firmly grabbed by the wrist by a hand, and no matter how she struggled, she couldn't grab Li Xiaoming. Li Xiaoming looked up blankly and looked along the hand to its owner. Suddenly, her gaze was stunned. This man is so handsome and, most importantly, a bit familiar. Did she seem to have seen him last night? Lin Yan. The handsome guy she met last night seemed to be called Lin Yan, and the person she just called for help was also called Lin Yan. Li Xiaoming didn't think much of it at first, thinking it was a coincidence. After all, she had suddenly encountered this kind of thing today, and her mind was still in a mess, and she couldn't think of anything else. Unexpectedly, it was the same person. "Damn Guinan, let go of my hand, or else you'll be responsible for the consequences." The mean woman also didn't expect that her hand would be grabbed again. She was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted, and then glared at the man blocking her and screamed loudly. The shrill sound made Lin Yan's brow wrinkle. "Shut up!" Lin Yan coldly snorted. He just arrived here and heard this woman yelling, and then he saw her preparing to do something to a little nurse, so he stopped her. Seeing this situation, he immediately guessed that the little nurse who was almost beaten in front of him was Li Xiaoming, who had just asked him for help. After seeing Li Xiaoming and Xiao Zhezhe next to her, Lin Yan was also a little surprised. He didn't expect to meet the second of the 5 scenic spots that he had encountered last night, and he actually met again today. And this mean woman who shouted and yelled and tried to hit people, needless to say, was naturally the unfilial daughter of the old lady Huifeng. How dare you yell at me? Die Guanan! Die! The mean woman let loose her poisonous tongue while waving the other hand she could still move, trying to hit Lin Yan. Seeing the other hand reaching for her, Lin Yan did not hesitate to shake his hand. With a pop, he slapped it away with the back of his hand, and the tremendous force caused the mean woman's arm to ache. It made her heavily made-up face twist slightly. But Lin Yan did not stop there. The other party actually dared to attack, so how could he not teach her a lesson? She gave a hard kick with her foot, kicking the mean woman in the ankle, and she tripped over immediately. Ah! The mean woman let out a painful cry and fell to the ground. The pain in her ankle made her cover it with her hand, and she couldn't stand up for a while. You actually hit a woman. Huaxia Guinan, you really have no quality at all. You deserve it. You Huaxia Guinan people will be poor, ugly, and die single all your lives. The mean woman showed no remorse at all, sat on the ground, pointed her finger at Lin Yan, and started cursing. Hearing the mean woman's words, the people around them suddenly felt unhappy. They were originally standing around watching the show, and they even heard rumors and thought that they were the victim's family seeking justice. Therefore, even though they saw the nurse being beaten, no one stood up. However, after hearing the mean woman's words, they were unhappy. Chapter 64, Shameless. Everyone could see that it was you who started it, and she was just defending herself, but you're still calling her names. Fine, you want to call people names? We've all had our fair share of melons, so you're calling us names too? Who the hell do you think you are? What kind of woman talks like that? You have no self-awareness, you started the fight, and she was just defending herself, but you have the nerve to say that she hit you? I've never met anyone so shameless. She's been licked by too many dogs, and she's become arrogant. No way, someone that old is still getting licked? What a heavy taste. Oh, man, don't say it out loud, I'm going to puke. Just as the mean woman was being attacked by the group, her companion, the man, also broke free from the security guards and rushed in. What are you doing? How dare you hit someone? We are citizens of pretty country, we are going to the embassy, we are going to protest, you are finished. With the support of the man, the mean woman also hardened her stance, so what if I hit him? I'm not Chinese, I'm a citizen of pretty country, Chinese law doesn't apply to me, and the Chinese police can't arrest me. Without waiting for anyone else to speak, the man pointed at Lin Yan and asked, Kid, are you an accomplice of this nurse? It was you and her who killed my mother and stole my mother's inheritance? In fact, the man had never seen Lin Yan before, nor did he know that Lin Yan was the other person who had received the inheritance. He said this simply to sling mud at him. The surrounding people, who did not know the truth, looked at each other. Although they were unhappy with the attitude of the man and woman, no one dared to speak up at this time. After all, murder and inheritance fraud were serious crimes. Yes, it must be you. The mean woman on the ground pointed at Lin Yan and said viciously, It's you, and this bitch nurse, you conspired together to deceive my mother and cheat her of 3 houses in the city center in 20 million yuan. Man, the last time I spoke to my mother on the phone, she was fine and in good spirits, but then she suddenly passed away 2 days later. Maybe you guys used some kind of trick and killed her. The crowd around them was shocked to hear this. Holy shit, 3 city center apartments and 20 million, that's worth 100 million, right? Not necessarily, but at least it's more than 0.5 of a small goal. The current housing prices in China are too expensive, not to mention city center apartments. Could it be that they really cheated the old lady and then caused her death? Maybe, otherwise, if they are not related, there is no reason for the old lady not to leave her inheritance to her children, but to share it with 2 strangers. Don't be ridiculous. This young man is so handsome, why would he do something illegal? It's the 2 foreigners who look suspicious. I don't think they're good people. Maybe they're just making things up to slander someone. Sister, this is not the time to let your values be determined by your appearance. Lin Yan sneered, haha. This is a lot of nonsense, and the ability to casually slander people is really strong. No wonder you came back from abroad, you probably studied at the BBC, didn't you? When did you last speak to your mother on the phone? When was the last time? Did you make this phone call 10 years ago or 20 years ago? The man opened his mouth, dumbfounded by this question. Because he really couldn't remember how many years it had been since he had last called his mother, and he had just made it all up. Lin Yan continued indifferently, after Madame Huifeng passed away, she did leave me an inheritance. Because before she died, when she suddenly collapsed on the street, it wasn't her children, who were abroad, who took her to the hospital, but me. I paid the medical and hospital fees and left my phone number for easy contact. And you? You never even came back to visit her before she died. In her will, Madame Huifang clearly stated that her husband had passed away early, and that she had only 2 children. When her children grew up, they wanted to go abroad to further their studies and work hard, and she agreed, sending you abroad. Lin Yenyue became more and more angry as he spoke. The last time he learned that the old lady had passed away, he was not in a good mood. Seeing these 2 ungrateful children who had no filial piety and only wanted to seize the inheritance, Madame Huifang's ungrateful children, made him even more furious. You never came back again. For decades, you never came back once. You were either too busy or you just said you were busy. At first, you would call back and ask the old lady for money to buy a car or a house. When you had made a success of your career and your family was stable, you didn't even answer when the old lady called you. She kept calling and calling, but no one answered. It wasn't until later that she asked someone and found out that you had changed your number, but no one had told her the new number. She could only keep calling the old number, holding on to the hope that you would appear. Before the old lady died, she couldn't even hear a sound from you. How dare you even mention the last time you spoke to your mother on the phone? In her will, the old lady Huifang wrote clearly that because you were unfilial, she would not leave any money to you, and chose to bequeath it to the people who helped her before she died and the nurse who took care of her all along. Lin Yan pointed to Li Xiaomeng behind him. What we inherited is the estate that the late Madame Huifang legally bequeathed to us. But you, in order to seize this inheritance, came to the hospital to cause trouble, insulting and beating the nurses who took care of your mother in her final moments. The people around them, who had been swaying and jealous of Lin Yan and Li Xiaomeng getting such a large inheritance, immediately changed their attitude after hearing what he said, and they glared at the mean woman and man. Damn it! What unfilial children! They didn't come to visit when the old man was alive, and now that he's dead, they're jumping out to fight over the inheritance. What kind of scum are they? They haven't been back once in decades, and yet they slander the people who helped the old lady, saying that they caused their mother's death? What a good mother and filial children! Damn it, my son told me last time that he wanted to go abroad. I'll go back and ask him again. If he still wants to go abroad, I'll break his legs. I'll say you've wrongly accused the young man. Having been exposed by Lin Yan's cunning plan and being mocked by everyone, the 2 of them jumped about like cats with their tails stepped on, quite flustered, and recklessly bombarded everyone. The mean woman sat down on the ground, but she didn't forget to look condescending and scornful, and she mocked everyone with sharp words. You low-educated trashy domestic losers, you have no culture and no insight, not to mention any level. What do you know? What do you know about freedom? What do you know about the luxurious life of the rich? Chapter 65, Sending It In. In our beautiful country, it is only normal for children to leave their parents and go out to work. They are even busy with work at Christmas, and they can't even make a phone call back home, even for the new year. How can this be called being unfilial? Holding on to a useless set of ideas from thousands of years ago is foolish and vulgar. It is because of people like you that China is far inferior to our beautiful country. You are just jealous of my nobility with your narrow-minded thinking. Fortunately, I married a pretty nation black man at the beginning, and now I have joined pretty nation's nationality and have not stayed in this backward country. Only those third-class women in the country will accompany you wretched Chinese men. It's really sad, they don't even have the qualifications to compete. I'm furious. All the people around me suddenly became furious. Surprisingly angry. I almost thought this woman was some big shot who had come to our backwater. It turns out she's a dog from pretty country back in the village. A foreign dog, no wonder she's so arrogant. A passerby who had just arrived sneered. Not only is she arrogant, she's almost on a pedestal, shoulder to shoulder with the sun. She talks down to Chinese people all the time, and she doesn't even look at herself. Would any normal person look up to her? After all, she has seen the sunrise in the west. The air there is not only free, but also sweet. The moon is always round, and there are only 2 words to describe it: noble. All I hear is the stench of money in her mouth. As long as you have money and capital, you can abandon filial piety, morality, and humanity. This is the freedom of the beautiful country she speaks of. Oh, praise freedom, freedom makes me unable to breathe. These people are really despicable for not being good people and instead acting like the dogs of foreigners. Not only are they morally corrupt, they're also brainwashed. Everyone cast disgusted looks at this kind of mean woman who admires foreigners, and mocked her in a strange and weird way. She was obviously born a Chinese, but after hanging out in the outside world for a while, she felt that she was nobler and superior to everyone else, and was full of a sense of superiority. She even turned the tables and became more hostile and looked down on Chinese people than she did on foreigners. Not only do they help outsiders speak, they also unscrupulously smear Chinese people. These ungrateful people are even more detestable than the media of a certain country that attack each other because they already have different positions. What is most detestable is that these people usually speak for their foreign fathers and look down on China, but once something happens, they turn their heads and run back to the country. You bunch of unruly people actually dare to scold us. We've just come back from pretty country, and you dare to treat us like this. I'm going to post what you did to me online. The two of them turned red with anger after being berated by the crowd. Finally, they lost their temper and were about to start a fight. The mean woman got up from the ground, and together with the man, they pounced on Lin Yan, who was the closest to them. The two of them looked ferocious. Hand over my mother's inheritance. Otherwise, we'll beat you to death. We're pretty country people, and even if we beat you to death, the police won't dare arrest us. The crowd around them immediately erupted in an uproar. These two ungrateful sons of bitches are even more arrogant than foreigners. They actually came to our land and tried to beat people up? We can't let them get away with it. Let's fuck them up. Call the police. I'd like to see if the police dare to arrest them. As he watched the two people rushing up, Lin Yan's expression did not change, and his eyes revealed indifference. Ordinary people of this level, even if 10 of them came, they would not be his match. Lin Yan's physical fitness had been systematically enhanced. It's easy to take care of these two. Pop. Bang. Ah. Ah. Two dull sounds rang out first, followed by two miserable screams. Hearing this, the passers-by who had originally wanted to come up and help had goosebumps and subconsciously stopped in their tracks. This time, Lin Yan didn't hold back, and a slap directly sent the mean woman flying, and she fell to the ground. Another knee strike was directed at the man's lower abdomen. The man covered his stomach, his body bent like a shrimp, and he fell to the ground, moaning in pain. You, actually, dare, hit us. The man gasped in pain, unable to speak clearly. Maybe people pamper you outside, but I'm sorry, no one will pamper you here. If you want to enjoy privileges here, then you've come to the wrong place. Old Lady Hoifan was such a kind old lady. Even when she fell ill and asked a stranger for help, she tried not to cause trouble for the other person and was afraid that he would misunderstand her if she explained to him on her own initiative. Now look at these two people in front of her. What a disappointment. You. How dare you hit us? We are beautiful Chinese people. I'm going to call the police to arrest you. The mean woman screamed, covering her face with her hands. No need to call the police, we are already here. A deep, magnetic voice sounded. The crowd parted and a man in a mouse suit walked in, followed by a few policemen. On seeing the police arrive, the mean woman froze for a moment before immediately shouting, Quickly arrest this man, he actually assaulted us beautiful Chinese people. You must arrest him immediately. Otherwise, I will complain to the embassy and make you all suffer. The policeman glanced at her before walking over and pulling out cold handcuffs, ready to cuff her. What are you doing? I'm a beautiful Chinese national, you can't arrest me. The mean woman was dumbfounded and screamed and struggled. In our Chinese land, you must obey Chinese law, no matter who comes, whether you are a dragon or a snake, you must be obedient. If you move again and try to arrest me, don't blame us for being rude. Two policemen held the mean woman down firmly so that she couldn't move, and put the handcuffs on her. Several other policemen cuffed the man on the ground. They already knew what had happened. They naturally had no good feelings towards these two morally bankrupt, arrogant, law-defying ingrates. Mr. Lin, I'm sorry I'm late. The man in the Zhongshan suit and a police officer dressed as a squad leader came to Lin Yan. Lin Yan waved his hand. It's okay, you're just in time. This man in a Zhongshan suit is Zhang Tianchen, lawyer Zhang. Lin Yan notified him by phone before coming over to come to the hospital to find him. He then contacted the police chief, who had helped out in the Fengtang incident last time. Send someone to respond to the call. Lin Yan looked at the police team leader and said, I'll leave the rest to you. Mr. Lin, don't worry. The hospital has complete surveillance facilities and there are witnesses around. Their actions have involved the crimes of picking quarrels and provoking trouble, intentional injury, public insult, and fabricating facts to slander others. We will arrest them according to the law. Zhang Tianchen also stated, Mr. Lin, although I'm not good at anything else, when it comes to lawsuits, Zhang Tianchen has never been afraid of anyone. Let me represent you and this nurse and sue the two of them. I will make them pay the compensation they deserve and send them to jail. The man and woman who had been detained heard their conversation and their faces changed drastically. They finally panicked. We have not hurt anyone, let alone insulted or slandered them. Don't slander others without evidence, or I will hire a lawyer from the pretty country to sue you. Special thanks to Emperor Star. The big guy has once again given a character summon. Chapter 66, Cool and Airy. At this time, the man and woman, with their hands cuffed behind their backs, stood to the side. On either side of them, a police officer kept a close eye on them to prevent them from making any out-of-line moves. Zhang Tianchen looked at the two expressionlessly, so we'll see you in court, I hope you're prepared. The squad leader waved his hand coldly, take them away. A few police officers escorted the two people who kept screaming and struggling away from the hospital. Do you want me to go with you to make a statement? No trouble for Mr. Lin, your time is precious, it is enough for this nurse lady to go with us to make a statement, we will retrieve the surveillance footage and find witnesses from the crowd. Making a statement will take at least an hour or two, the chief has specifically instructed that, where would he dare to waste Lin Yan's time? The squad leader looked at Li Xiaoming and said, Nurse lady, would you mind going back with us to make a statement? Li Xiaoming first gave Lin Yan a secret glance, then weakly nodded and said, no problem. This time, thanks to his help, otherwise she doesn't know how those two would bully her. Li Xiaoming, who already had a good impression of Lin Yan, secretly felt affection in her heart. Let's go. Wait a minute. Seeing Li Xiaoming and Xiao Zhejiao preparing to follow the squad leader and leave, Zhang Tianchen suddenly spoke up to stop them. Miss Nurse, before that, I'd like to ask you to go and have your injuries assessed, as we're in a hospital. Li Xiaoming stopped in her tracks and looked at him with the same puzzled expression as the others. Cough. Zhang Tianchen coughed lightly and explained, I can see that this nurse has scratches on her face, so I think they must have been beaten up by them. In my many years of experience, if these wounds were a little deeper, they would have disfigured her face, and that would be enough to determine that they were lightly injured. Everyone. They looked at the two shallow scars on Li Xiaoming's face, about 5/6 centimeter long, but the depth was just a slight redness in the middle of the marks. This is a far cry from disfigurement, isn't it? However, then they thought of Li Xiaoming's identity. This victim is a nurse at this hospital, and this appraisal made everyone shudder. No wonder he's a lawyer, he's ruthless. After the hospital incident came to an end, Zhang Tianchen, as Lin Yan's lawyer, mobilized the team at Gingchen law firm to prosecute the two siblings on various charges. In court, they beat the beautiful foreign lawyer hired by the two to pieces. In the end, the two siblings not only had to compensate Lin Yan and Li Xiaoming a total of 530,000 yuan in various compensation fees, but were also sentenced to prison. The mean woman was sentenced to 2 years and 6 months in prison for repeatedly assaulting others and causing light injuries. The man was not spared either, and also received a consolation prize of 1 year and 1 month. Because this incident was posted on the internet, it caused an uproar. On the same day the two went in, on the pretty countryside, the two companies issued a statement at the same time, firing the two and never hiring them again. Not only that, but because the two had caused a very bad influence, there was even a boycott of pretty country companies in the Huaxia market. Suddenly, the two were directly blacklisted by all pretty country companies at the same time. When they came out and were repatriated to pretty country, they couldn't find a job and had to end up on the streets begging. I wonder how they felt when they heard the news. 2 days later. Afternoon. Lin Yan drove out from the Kyushu hotel and was going to go for a casual stroll. Since Director Chen had helped him twice in a row, Lin Yan naturally wanted to thank him. However, because of the other person's status, it was not convenient to be too conspicuous, so Lin Yan invited Director Chen to the Kyushu hotel for lunch. Now they have just finished eating and are leaving. On the way, Lin Yan's phone rings, and it's Qin Wen calling. Hey, Lao Lin, where are you? Do you have time to hang out? In the past 2 days, Lin Yan and Qin Wen have contacted each other many times, and their relationship has grown closer. In this incident, these two siblings will be fired, and they will be blacklisted by various companies at the same time, and it is also related to Qin Wen. However, Lin Yan never mentioned this to Qin Wen at all. It was Qin Wen who happened to see the video of the mean woman causing trouble in the hospital on Douyin. At that time, he was surprised to find that the person the other party offended in the video was actually Lin Yan. Since first meeting Lin Yan, Qinwen had been thinking about how to get closer to him. How could he miss this opportunity that came knocking on his door? Without saying a word, he immediately used his connections in pretty country. Okay, I'm free. Just tell me the address, Lin Yan replied, as he happened to be doing nothing at the moment. Zhenghai Songma International Circuit, you know where that is, right? Just come directly. Lin Yan had heard of this circuit. It was the #1 racing circuit in the entire country, and it had multiple tracks, including an F1 track and an off-road track. The various hardware facilities were quite luxurious, and could be considered the best in the country. Okay, just give me a second. Lin Yan hung up after saying that. Young master, are you going to Zhenghai Songma International Circuit now? Zheng Xiaoling, who was sitting in the passenger seat wearing a light blue Lolita dress, asked sweetly. Well, I'm going to the circuit with friends in sports cars. Then, can I go with you? Of course, I can't just drop you off halfway. Zheng Xiaoling's face beamed with a sweet smile. Thank you, young master, you're the best. Cut the flattery and sit properly. Lin Yan patted her little head as she leaned in. Yesterday, when they left the Bamboo Grove Wonderland, Zheng Xiaoling asked him to take her with him, to stay by his side and help and look after him. This little girl is sensible, playful, and cute, and she can also take care of people. Lin Yan agreed when he thought about it, and he brought her with him again when they left the Bamboo Grove Wonderland today. She can also help him a lot. Seeing this, the other girls in the Bamboo Grove Wonderland pulled him one after another, saying that they wanted to come out with him and promising to be absolutely obedient and take good care of him. Unfortunately, the Bugatti Black Knight is a two-seater, and he can only take one person at a time. The others will have to wait until next time. At the same time, he promised them that he would take each of them out once. After calling up the navigation address, Lin Yan turned around and drove towards the racing circuit. Inside the Zhenghai Songma International Racing Circuit. Mr. Qin, are you expecting any more friends? A girl in a very revealing miniskirt asked. She was pretty, but had the look of an internet celebrity. At that moment, Qinwen leaned against his Ferrari LaFerrari, surrounded by a group of girls in revealing outfits. The girls surrounded Qinwen, each one of them acting very attentive, and from time to time, they pulled down their revealing outfits a little bit. It became even more revealing. Chapter 67 by All Willingly. Next to Qinwen's Lafite, there were several supercars such as Porsches, Lamborghinis, and McLarens parked. There were also young people standing next to these supercars. These people were all friends of the second-generation rich people in Qinwen's circle, or his subordinates. There were also some girls surrounding them, but compared to Qinwen's place, they were obviously far inferior, just a few kittens. Well, a friend of mine is coming over, so pay attention. Qinwen didn't say this to the girls, but to those rich second-generation kids. Understood, Brother Qin, we won't let you down. Brother Qin, is it Shuexiao or Wang Xiao who is coming? The rich second-generation kids referred to Shuexiao and Wang Xiao as the two other big shots in their circle, both of whom were top second-generation rich kids similar to Qinwen's status. The rich second-generation kids in this circle all looked up to the three of them. No, those two guys are probably having fun with some woman somewhere right now. Qinwen shrugged. This time, I've come with a new friend of mine. The other person is not an ordinary person, so keep your eyes peeled and don't accidentally step on their toes. The rich kids were secretly shocked to hear this. If Brother Qin could attach such importance to it and repeatedly tell them, the other person must be a big shot of similar status as Qinwen. Don't worry, Brother Qin, you don't know us well enough. We like to have fun, but we're not stupid. Ring ring ring. Qinwen's phone rang, and he answered it. You're here already? I'm inside, just come on in. Okay. As Qinwen hung up the phone, one of the rich second generation asked. Brother Qin, your friend is here, what should we call him? His surname is Lin, just call him Brother Lin, like you call Lao Shui. While the rich second generation were talking, a black, technologically looking, cool supercar slowly pulled into the parking lot outside the racetrack. Holy shit, is this the Bugatti Black Sound? The rich second generation exclaimed. These rich second generation were not lacking in vision or knowledge, and they were all supercar enthusiasts. Even from a distance, they recognized the Bugatti as a perfect supercar at first glance. Which big shot is coming over? Could this be Brother Lin's car? Not long after Qinwen had hung up the phone, such a supercar drove in, so they couldn't help but think this way. Thinking of this guess, the young masters all let out a gasp. This is really a super boss. Even Wen doesn't have a supercar of this level. Looking at the young masters, who were shocked and uncertain, Wen spoke out, "Okay, stop guessing, this is Brother Lin's car." Upon hearing Wen's affirmation, not only were the second-generation rich shocked, but all the young girls around them also had a burning look in their eyes. They were like cats that had smelled fish, each one of them itching to act. The Bugatti Black Sound. These young girls were also well informed, and this was a supercar worth hundreds of millions. For such a big shot, if they could be with him, no, not necessarily be with him, just have some kind of relationship with him, they could gain unimaginable benefits. The voice of the night stopped next to Wen's Lafitte and the driver's door opened. A man in his early 20s, with a well-proportioned figure, a simple set of casual clothes, and a peerless noble temperament that could not be concealed when worn by him. And then there was his appearance. Oh my God. Oh no, I feel like my heart is out of control and about to jump out. Abba Abba. The girls suddenly felt that even their bodies had become a little limp, their legs were trembling, and they felt a vague wetness. What a handsome man. And, surprisingly, he is still so young, not even as old as Wen, and most importantly, he is still so handsome. Wen's appearance is also quite superior, enough to beat the schoolboys of the major drama academies in the Central Sea and the handsome stars in the entertainment industry. But compared to the handsome guy in front of them, it is suddenly reversed, and Wen has become the one being beaten. For a man like this, even if there is no benefit, they are willing to be played for nothing. "Brother Chen, can I ride in Brother Lin's car later?" A girl dressed casually and with a bold personality asked. The girl was pretty and not inferior to some college department flowers. In fact, she was indeed the department flower of a university in Shanghai and was invited to come over today. She had just heard Wen's phone call to Lin Yan, inviting him to come over and drive the car, so she asked. Wen glanced at her casually. "You're eager to go up and offer yourself, aren't you?" "Oh, Brother Chen, no, that's not it." Wen shrugged, "But I don't think you have a chance." Because, he saw the passenger seat of the voice of the night open, and a girl, with a noble and graceful posture, slowly walked down. A simple action of getting out of the car could create such a beautiful scene, like a beautiful painting. After the girl got out of the car, she followed Lin Yan quietly and elegantly. The girl was not too tall, but she did not look short at all. Her beautiful eyes were like flowing water, her delicate nose stood upright like a jade, and she was wearing a lovely light blue dress. From the moment the girl got out of the car, the surrounding girls with different postures instantly paled in comparison. The rich second generation were all filled with envy. As the second generation, they naturally had no shortage of girlfriends, but compared to Zhang Xiaoling, their girlfriends were completely on a different level. Due to the big shot next to the girl, the rich second generation quickly recovered their eyes, which had almost looked straight at her, and glanced away. Wen took the lead and walked over to Lin Yan, put his arms around his shoulders, and winked at him, saying, "Gee, Lin, I thought you were coming, so I specially asked a group of girls to come and keep you company, but it turns out you brought your own." Wen remembered that the other night, when he saw the girl next to Lin Yan, she was not the same person as the current one. The two girls were different types, but they were definitely the ceilings in their respective fields. This guy really has a lot of luck with women. Wen was a little jealous. "Hello, Lin Gu." "Hello, Lin Gu." "Brother Lin." The rich second generation followed behind Wen and greeted him enthusiastically. This man in front of them is a big shot, and now that they have the chance, they naturally want to curry favor with him. If they can get on his good side, they will definitely benefit greatly. These rich second generation understand the importance of connections even more than ordinary people, especially the connections of a big shot who is one level above them. The young girls also followed and surrounded him all at once, calling out to him in a sweet voice, unabashedly throwing winks at Lin Yan. Although they are far inferior to Zhang Xiaoling, who is by Lin Yan's side, they have to try their luck when the opportunity is in front of them. Maybe Lin Yan is in a good mood today and wants to try something new? Then their chance has come, hasn't it? "Hello." Lin Yan smiled at the crowd and nodded. When others are so polite, you can't be stuck up yourself. Chapter 68 Competition. Lin Yan smiled and introduced Zhang Xiaoling. "Let me introduce you, this is Wen, surfing the internet, and a cup of Little Prince, he is an old internet celebrity, you should have heard of him." No wonder he looks familiar. Zhang Xiaoling was a little surprised, and then politely said, "Hello, Mr. Chen." Wen was stunned for a moment, and waved his hand. "You are Lin's person, just call me Wen, don't call me Mr. Chen." "Lin, come, let me introduce you too." Wen pointed to the rich kids. "They are all friends from my circle." Although they like to have a bit of fun, they are all quite capable. If there is anything you need help with, just let them know. That's right, Lin, if there is anything we can help with, just let us know. The rich kids all expressed their support. Lin Yan smiled, okay, if there is anything I can do to help, I won't hold back. Okay. Don't just stand there, sit down first. Qin Wen led Lin Yan to the side of the grandstand. Naturally, these rich second-generation kids weren't just standing around stupidly. The grandstand had already been set up with all kinds of tables and deck chairs, with all kinds of things on them. Anyone who didn't know any better would think it was a party. A few staff members from the racing circuit were carrying all kinds of drinks, fruit, barbecued food, and some fancy food and setting it on the tables. After putting the things down, the staff members left again. They sat here, not only watching the race on the track, but also partying. Quite enjoyable. I have heard before that the lives of the second generation are extravagant, and now that I see it, the rumors are not false at all. Lingu, if you see if there is anything else you need, you can have it delivered. This racing circuit belongs to Qin Gu, so you don't need to be polite. No need. Lin Yan looked at Qin Wendao and said, this racing circuit is yours? I often come here to play, so for convenience's sake, I financed a sum of money and became a small shareholder. Lingu, try this fruit. It was just picked and airlifted here, so it's fresh. A rich second generation sitting on the right picked up a fruit plate on the table and handed it to him. Lin Yan remembered that when Qin Wen introduced him, he said his name was Hong Kaiyu. Thanks. Lin Yan took one and tasted it. It did taste good. Lingu, you're too polite. Hong Kaiyu then handed the plate to Zhang Xiaoling, who was sitting next to Lin Yan, sister-in-law, you try it too. In their opinion, Lin Yan and Zhang Xiaoling were definitely a perfect match. Lin Yan had only brought her out, so the two obviously had a different relationship, and it was definitely a good idea to please her on the side. Zhang Xiaoling's face flushed slightly as she explained, I'm not. She was about to say something else when Hong Kaiyu interrupted with a laugh. It's okay, you try first. He thought Zhang Xiaoling was being reserved and embarrassed, so he laughed to break the awkwardness. Zhang Xiaoling picked up a fruit from the fruit plate and said, thank you. Lin Yan sat on the side and chatted with Qin Wen. After a while, Qin Wen rubbed his hands together and stood up. Let's go down and race for a few laps. I've been waiting for you for a long time and my hands are itching. Okay, Lin Yan said. Let's agree in advance that you can't use your Bugatti Black Sound to race with me, Qin Wen said. It's not a matter of being scared, it's just that your car is so fast, and if you use it to race me, there's no skill involved, and that would be boring. But I didn't bring any other car. That's easy, there are so many sports cars here, you can just pick one, I don't need a LaFerrari, we can pick something similar and race. Lin Yan looked at the many supercars parked below, scanned the area, and when his gaze stopped, he pointed to the two red Ferraris parked on the left. Okay, let's take these two Ferrari 488s. There happen to be two of the same. Qin Wen looked up and followed the trend, I remember these two sports cars. One of them is driven by Kaiyu, right? Kaiyu, what's the configuration of your Ferrari 488? Red Kaiyu said, Brother Qin, this car of mine is the top-of-the-line model. I spent a total of 5.8 million yuan on it. Brother Qin, this one of mine is the same. The other rich kid also replied. Okay, then these two will do. Qin Wen said with satisfaction. The two men had decided on the sports car they wanted to use and were about to go downstairs. At that moment, on the edge of the grandstand, a girl holding a selfie stick asked, Mr. Qin, can I go live during your race? The girl who spoke was He Shueyue, one of the anchors of Douyin. She had been invited by Qin Wen to the racetrack today to do a live broadcast of the promotional event. The opportunity to broadcast live from such a high-class racing circuit doesn't come along often, and if it's a race between two top young masters, the effect will be even better. If she can broadcast this race live, the popularity of the broadcast will surely explode. So she has to seize the opportunity. I don't care. Qin Wen looked at Lin Yan and asked, Lao Lin, what do you say? He was the one who originally found the live broadcast, so it doesn't matter to him. It mainly depends on Lin Yan's opinion. You've reminded me. This racing circuit is a good place to broadcast live. Qin Wen looked puzzled, huh? What do you mean? Lin Yan explained, I've been thinking about doing outdoor broadcasts recently, and it just so happens that I'm here today, so let's start the first broadcast. Broadcast? Qin Wen was taken aback. Quite surprised, he said, "No way, you're still doing broadcasts?" The surrounding friends were also taken aback and shocked. Lin Gu is actually doing the job of an anchor? It's just a broadcast, what's so surprising about that? The main thing is that you do live streaming, which doesn't quite fit your identity, right? Look at what you're saying, you're still an internet celebrity yourself. Qin Wen shrugged, although I am an internet celebrity, I am different from the average internet celebrity. I just casually post a few pictures online, put on a cup, and I'm famous. I do live streaming for fun, for a laugh. You can understand it as if I replaced the way you post pictures of yourself putting on a cup with live streaming. Qin Wen gave a thumbs up, you know how to have fun. Lin Yan's words made Qin Wen understand. Everyone has different hobbies and interests, and chooses different ways to spend their time. Just like these rich second-generation kids, some like to play with cars, some like to hang out with young models at clubs, or even manage girl groups or run clubs. They just want to have fun. On second thought, Qin Wen found it quite interesting. Discrimination against the profession of being an online host aside, it seems much more interesting to do a live broadcast and pretend to pour a cup in front of hundreds of thousands of people than just post a photo on Weibo. Since you're going to broadcast it, just do it. Seeing that Lin Yan had no objections, Qin Wen said to the female host. Thank you, Mr. Qin and Mr. Lin. He Shueyua quickly said thanks. Chapter 69, Huh? It's drifting away. When Lin Yan and the others walked down from the grandstand, the two Ferrari 488s had already been parked on the track. He first returned to the Bugatti Black Knight, took out a mask that had been prepared beforehand, and then walked towards the Ferrari 488 on the track. Outdoor live broadcasts are different from game broadcasts in that they inevitably need to be photogenic, but Lin Yan still had no intention of showing his face. He put on a mask that covered most of his face, leaving only his eyes and forehead exposed. Young master, let me help you with the live broadcast? Zheng Xiaoling, who had been by his side the whole time, asked. Lin Yan thought about it for a moment, nodded, and handed her the phone. Wait until you get in the car, and then you can start broadcasting. During the race, he had to drive, so he couldn't worry about the live broadcast, let alone hold the phone himself. With Zhang Xiaoling there, she could just be a little assistant and help him out. No problem. Zhang Xiaoling said with a smile. When filming, try to be more careful, don't film Qin Wen and the others, and don't film yourself. Lin Yan had no intention of letting anyone else enter the country. Young master, don't worry, I'm a professional. After the two walked over, they discovered that Qin Wen was accompanied by a good-looking female companion who had followed him at some point. Qin Wen saw Lin Yan walking over and asked, Are you ready? Let's go, get in the car. Lin Yan and Qin Wen each got into a Ferrari 488. Lin Yan got into the driver's seat, briefly adjusted the car, and said to Zheng Xiaoling in the passenger seat, Let's go live. As instructed, Zheng Xiaoling started the live broadcast and pointed the camera at Lin Yan in the driver's seat. A few minutes after the broadcast started, a large audience flooded into the live broadcast room. Lin Yan's previous live broadcast had been so effective that it had accumulated a lot of followers. The fans, who had received the broadcast prompt, couldn't wait to come in. Wow, after so many days, Brother Shu is finally going live. I've missed you so much. I'll watch every live stream you do, just like you said. Huh? Who is this person wearing a mask? Is that Brother Shu? Is this in a car? Are you going to broadcast live outdoors? The interior of this car looks so high-end, kind of like a supercar. Huh? You're not wrong. When the camera moved just now, I thought I saw a Ferrari logo on the steering wheel. Holy shit. I saw it too, I thought I was seeing things. Lin Yan turned his head and looked at the camera. Some viewers have already figured it out. Yes, I'm going to give you an outdoor live broadcast today. As you can see, I'm currently sitting in a Ferrari 488, and I'm already on the track. In a moment, I'll be racing someone in a car race, giving you all a taste of speed and passion. While Qin Wen on the other side was still debugging, Lin Yan glanced at the chat box and replied. Ah, that sound, it's definitely Brother Shu. Holy shit, it really is a Ferrari. After Lin Yan's acknowledgement, the people in the live broadcast room instantly lost their composure. Boom boom boom. At this time, the sound of a roaring engine sounded. It was Qin Wen's Ferrari, which meant that he was ready. Zheng Xiaoling moved the camera in time, and the Ferrari entered the shot next to it, but only the car was captured, and the driver on it was not visible. Holy shit, another Ferrari 488? He's really fucking rich. It seems like it's really going to be a race. Fast and the Furious? We want to see some drifting, so give us a bit of that, will you? Who do you think is going to win? That's a no-brainer, it's definitely Brother Shu. +1, I'm also rooting for Brother Shu. While the audience is discussing in the live broadcast room. On the other side, they hear the roar of two Ferraris one after the other, and the rich second generation and the girls dressed in cool clothes are also discussing. Who do you think will win? I'm not sure. We don't know Lin's driving skills, but we can all see Chen's. If I had to choose, I'd pick Chen. I agree. Chen has a better chance of winning. He's been in the game for years and has won many awards. Most professional racers can't beat him. Let's not talk about the technology for now. We've all raced this track many times, but Brother Lin is racing it for the first time, which puts him at a disadvantage. If Brother Lin were racing in a Bugatti, he might have a chance of winning, but in the same car, unless he's a top professional racer, no one should be able to beat Brother Chen on an unfamiliar track. If Brother Lin's skills aren't strong enough, this will definitely be a one-sided race with no suspense. Compared to the unconditional support of Lin Yan from the fans in the live broadcast room, these on-site spectators know Chen Wen quite well, while Lin Yan may be running this track for the first time. Therefore, their views are more objective, and they generally feel that Chen Wen can win. Boom! The roar of the low-pitched engine resounded again and again more frequently. A super cool girl wearing a miniskirt and bandeau stood between the two cars, acting as the starter, waving the flag. 3, 2, 1. As the countdown continued, the crowd in the stands and the fans in the broadcast room grew more and more nervous and excited. Go! Boom! As soon as the words fell, the two Ferraris instantly started up, like runaway beasts, scurrying out like crazy. Holy shit! Lin Gu didn't even fall behind at the start? Not only did he not fall behind, he was also slightly ahead. In just a few seconds, the two sports cars had already rushed nearly 100 meters. Chen Wen's technique was indeed very good, perfectly utilizing the explosive efficiency of the engine and the grip, almost achieving the maximum speed that the Ferrari 488 can reach at the start. However, he was unable to shake Lin Yan off at all, and there was even a faint trend of overtaking. At the beginning, it was straight-line acceleration, and then there were the corners, which tested cornering technique and track proficiency. Brother Chen's cornering technique was second to none, and proficiency was not to mention. Overtaking Lin Yan was definitely no problem. The others nodded, they thought the same. Although it was somewhat unexpected that Chen Wen did not take the lead in the straight-line acceleration, they still felt that Chen Wen would win. After all, compared to the straight-line acceleration, the corners were where a driver's true strength was tested. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the two red flashes on the track quickly approached the first corner. What the hell? What's going on? They're entering the corner soon, isn't Lin Gu going to slow down? At this speed, they'll go off the track when they turn the corner, right? Seeing Chen Wen lag behind due to the deceleration, Lin Yan only slowed down a little and was about to enter the corner. Is he going to drift past? As soon as the words fell, the red Ferrari performed a beautiful drift, with the tires making a loud screeching sound as they violently rubbed against the ground, sending up a trail of dust. It easily turned the first corner. Swoosh! The rich second generation were dumbfounded. He really did drift past. Chapter 70, No Improvement. How can he drift at this speed around the corner? And so steadily? Damn, after watching Lin's driving skills, I feel like I've been wasting all those years behind the wheel. Who's to say I haven't? It's like you've been hanging out with those young models from the club for years, but you haven't improved. The second generation rich kids in the stands were dumbfounded. Under these circumstances, drifting at such a high speed through the corner, and the Ferrari's speed after the corner actually not decreasing much. If it was just a simple drift, it wouldn't have surprised them so much, and most of them could do it if it was just a simple tailspin. However, the drifting skills they would know are more geared towards showmanship, more for performance than practicality, and cannot be used in normal driving or competitions. The reason is that drifting is prone to loss of control under extreme conditions and is very dangerous. They cannot do it and dare not do it easily. Another reason is that if there is insufficient control, the car's speed will decrease too much, and it may even come to a stop. In this case, it is even slower than a normal cornering. When they saw Lin Yan drift through the corner so smoothly, they were directly stunned. Chen Wen, who was trailing behind, was stunned. The barrage in Lin Yan's live broadcast room also exploded at this moment. 666. Holy shit, I was stunned. Can you drift at this speed? And you're drifting in a Ferrari? This speed is over 150 miles per hour, right? That really scared the shit out of me. Who's to say it wasn't? I thought I was going to flip the car. I hit 120 halfway through the drift and lost it again. I played like this when I could still move, and now the WLFL in the hospital is particularly fast. Just like the rich kids in the stands, when the fans in the broadcast room saw that Lin Yan didn't slow down when he was about to enter the corner, they were all shocked. If he had been a little careless and overturned, it would have been a car crash. But by aligning the camera view with the front, the audience was horrified to discover that with a slight shaking of the camera, the Ferrari passed by quite smoothly at nearly 150 miles per hour. Phew, that scared me. Zhang Xiaoling patted her chest in shock. Sitting in the car, she felt it most directly and felt like her soul had just flown out. Ha! I think I heard my sister scream. Is the assistant helping with the live broadcast on the passenger seat a young lady? Sure enough, there are women in the passenger seat of a supercar. Brother Shu, do you still need a female assistant? I can help too, and it's free. Let go of that man, let me do it. Are you guys still in the mood for this? Can't you see the continuous bends ahead? Big brother, you need to slow down. You drifted through the first bend, but you won't be able to make it through the second. Lin Yan didn't have time to read the comments on the live broadcast. He still had no intention of slowing down. He turned his head slightly to look at Zheng Xiaoling and reminded her, hold on tight. Brother Shu, please drive slowly. Don't flip the car and have an accident just to create a live broadcast effect. It's not scary to flip the car during a live broadcast, but I'm afraid you really will flip the car. I'm fucking hesitating whether to log out or not, I dare not watch. As long as I pause quickly enough, he won't flip the car. Just then, as the audience in the live broadcast room exclaimed in disgust, a harsh sound of friction sounded again. From the sound and the rapidly changing perspective, everyone could see that the Ferrari was drifting again. But could it make it through the continuous bends this time? Holy shit! Holy shit, is there really such a way to drift through bends? Damn, for a split second, I almost thought it was going to take off. Is the person you are talking about this awesome guy, Newton's younger brother? That's too fake. My Ferrari 488 can't drift like that at all. I picked up the phone again. Hello, is this the ambulance? It's me, the guy upstairs is paranoid. Yes, he actually said he has a Ferrari 488 at home. I'm fucking laughing my ass off. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a Ferrari. I have several at home, as well as a McLaren, all of which are displayed in the window of my Lego collection. It can drift, but it has to be done manually. I thought it was just another person who hadn't slept, but you ended up here? After drifting through the first corner, there is normally no way to pull the car back and enter the second corner. Lin Yan, when drifting into the first corner, had no choice but to continue drifting closely along the corner without stopping. The Ferrari performed a 360-degree spiral drift along 2 consecutive corners. When the drift ended, it happened to turn out of the second corner. What the fuck? What the fuck is this maneuver? How can you play like this? Xinwen looked at the Ferrari in front of him, which had kicked up a cloud of dust, a little dazed. This is fucking impossible. In the next corner, Lin Yan performed several beautiful drifting maneuvers in a row, speeding around the track and gradually pulling away from the rest. Although the camera shook and the picture was unstable during the drifting process, the audience in the broadcast room not only didn't complain, but were instead ignited with enthusiasm and cheered wildly. First-person view, experience it online. It's explosive, really explosive. This drag racing is so awesome to watch. It was so exciting. I was so pumped up watching it that I wished I could go for a spin right away. Damn, I've never had this much fun driving myself. If you keep talking nonsense, can you drift? Pfft, what's so hard about drifting? I can easily do a drift that's 10 times smoother than this, comparable to the process of using Rejoice. Are you talking about the QQ speed that takes 2.0 gigabytes to download? Coach, I don't need you to teach me, I can do that too. What's the big deal with Rejoice? I can make it even silkier than Durex. I don't think like you guys. I think it's too dangerous for the anchor to drive a supercar like that, so I've decided that I'll never buy a supercar in the future. Amidst the audience's gasps in the live broadcast room and the shocked looks of the crowd in the stands, Lin Yan completed a lap of the track and drove the car back to the starting point. After this period of fermentation, the heat in the live broadcast room has increased a lot, and there are still people coming here because of the fame. Finished already? It was so fast, I just came in. I heard there was drag racing and drifting, so I came here on purpose, but it's already over. Anchor, please do it again. Many of the viewers who just came in missed the drag racing footage of Lin Yan, and they exclaimed in regret that they had missed the most exciting drag racing process just now, and they asked for it again and again. Seeing the barrage of comments from the audience in the live broadcast room, Lin Yan smiled and said, "Just do it again, but one lap is already the limit. If you do it again, even the tires of the Ferrari won't be able to take it." Chapter 71, an eye-opener. It's okay if you missed it just now, everyone. The replay will be uploaded after the broadcast ends, and everyone will be able to see it then. That's all there is to it. When will the anchor go off the air? Is there anything else that's going to be exciting next? Lin Yan pointed to the racing circuit outside. This is the Shanghai Songma International Circuit. I believe many of you have heard of it, but haven't seen it before, right? I'll take you all to have a look next. The audience, who had felt a little disappointed when they heard that Lin Yan was not going to race, instantly perked up. Shanghai Pinewood International Circuit? Isn't that the most luxurious racing circuit in the country, ranked number 1? I know about it, and I've always wanted to go watch a race, but I never got the chance. Brother Shu, please show us around. As a famous racing circuit nationwide, it naturally has extraordinary appeal. There are all kinds of high-end, luxurious facilities here, things that are rarely seen outside, which are enough to open the eyes of the audience and satisfy their appetite. This kind of knowledge can also become a boast for them and their friends in the future. Okay. Lin Yan smiled, and after chatting with the audience for a while, the sports car driven by Qinwen, who was lagging behind, finally stopped next to him. Seeing this, Lin Yan asked Zheng Xiaoling to take over the live broadcast for him and took the curious audience on a tour around the racing circuit. After getting out of the car, Qinwen looked at Lin Yan with complete shock in his eyes. "You brat, you're so good at playing with cars, I knew I shouldn't compete with you, it's too humiliating." "It's just SOSO. You call this SOSO? Are you being humble with me, or are you in Versailles?" Qinwen said, "I'll admit defeat this time. Have you raced on this track before?" "No, this is my first time here, otherwise the speed might have been a lot faster." "Awesome." Qinwen said with a thumbs up, "I always thought that I was the best at playing with cars outside of the professional world, but after seeing your skills today, I realized that I still have a lot to learn. But I want to ask you, how did you do that drifting technique of yours at high speeds into the corners? You also said that it was a technique, and that practice makes perfect, there is no trick to it." Lin Yan shrugged his shoulders and said, "That's right." The two returned to the stands, and the crowd immediately gathered around and praised Lin Yan. After about half an hour, Zheng Xiaoling, who had taken the live audience on a tour of the circuit, returned to Lin Yan's side. Zheng Xiaoling looked a little embarrassed. "Young master, some of the viewers in the live broadcast room said they want to see supercars." "See supercars? Aren't the two Ferrari 488s just now?" Lin Yan asked in puzzlement. "Anchor, the Ferrari 488 is indeed a supercar, but this car is not even fully equipped and costs less than 6 million yuan, which is hardly worth it." The person upstairs is right. The China International Circuit in Songma is ranked first in the country, and a mere 6 million yuan Ferrari is simply not enough. Yes, host, let's have something more awesome. Okay, tell me what kind of car you want to see, and I'll take you there to see it. Lin Yan said nonchalantly, as there were quite a few supercars parked in the car park, and these rich second-generation kids didn't lack for supercars. Just Qinwen alone has more than 10 different supercars in his garage. Any car is fine? Not really, any car is fine, but as long as it is available and has been sold on the market, there shouldn't be a problem. Even if there isn't one this time, I can take you to see it next time. Holy shit, is the anchor really not bluffing? Whether or not he is bluffing, I almost believed him. I'm ignorant, I didn't see the Ferrari just now, which cost more than 10 million yuan in total. It's not hard for him to take us to see other supercars. You also said that the two cars cost 10 million yuan in total. I don't think that sports cars with a unit price of less than 10 million yuan can be considered supercars. I've rented quite a few of these sports cars. Society, there's no cost to bragging online, so just go ahead and brag. I'm just telling the truth. Whether I'm bragging or the host is bragging, let him show us what he's got. I don't think he's wrong. I'm also a Shanghai native. Just walking down Shanghai Street, every few days you can see a sports car worth millions of dollars driving past you. The BBA is not even in the same league as the cars in Shanghai. To be honest, nowadays, you really need a car worth at least 10 million yuan to be considered a luxury car. Online, cars worth less than 10 million yuan are considered cars? Reality, holy shit, this Volkswagen costs 200,000 yuan? I don't want a lemon, I just want to let it rot. Lin Yan said, tell me, what supercars do you want to see? Take us to see the McLaren Elva. If you can take us to see this car, I'll admit that you're awesome. Isn't this the same guy who just bragged? After holding it in for so long, you got a McLaren Elva? It should be at least the level of a Pagani, Bugatti, or Koenigsegg. If you ask me, just go see the 3 legendary cars. I'd be satisfied if I could see one of the 3 legendary cars. What's the big deal with the 3 legendary cars? I heard that the Bugatti Black Sound was delivered in China a while ago. It's a truly awesome supercar, limited to 1 unit worldwide. The Anchor is really something. Let's go see this car. I know this car. It's said to be worth up to 130 million yuan, definitely the most expensive supercar ever. Yes. Anchor, we want to see this. You guys are really something. You can't be satisfied with anything worth tens of millions. You want to see a car worth hundreds of millions? I think that's going too far too. Even if someone buys such a car, they'll probably just keep it as a collection and never drive it on the road. Lin Yan didn't expect the audience to want to see the Bugatti Veyron Night. If they want to see the Bugatti Veyron or a Pagani hypercar, it might be a bit of a problem. He'll have to ask Qinwen if he has one, or wait until the next opportunity to buy one. But, the Night Voice is parked in the parking area below. You want to see the Bugatti Night Voice? Okay, I'll take you to see it. Lin Yan's words caused the chat bubbles in the live broadcast room to freeze, and everyone stared with wide eyes. Holy shit, are you really taking us to see the Bugatti Veyron? Are you serious? Anchor, let's get one thing straight, we want to see the real car, don't fool us with Lego blocks. Haha, after hearing what you said upstairs, I can already picture it. I can't wait. Will the Anchor be the one to be embarrassed by the comments, or will the comments embarrass him? Chapter 72, Dream Garage. Don't worry, of course it's a real car, not only the Bugatti Black Knight, but I'll also show you the Ferrari LaFerrari, to satisfy the audience who just want to see the 3 great cars. Lin Yan said to the audience in the live broadcast room. 666, the more you brag, the more outrageous it gets. Although the Ferrari LaFerrari is indeed a little inferior to the Bugatti Black Knight, not just anyone can own such a supercar. It's actually too boastful to say that you can take a look at it. I'm curious how the Anchor is going to end it. Although it is fashionable to brag and exaggerate in live broadcasts, you're blowing it up so big and making it sound so real that if you can't backtrack in time, you'll completely crash. Lin Yan smiled and didn't continue speaking, just as he was about to take the audience in the broadcast room downstairs. He Shueyue, the anchor woman who had fought with the sound, walked over and stood outside the camera. Lin Xiao, can I go down with you and broadcast the sound of the Bugatti Night? I'll just look around, I won't disturb you. The audience in her broadcast room also wanted to see other supercars again, but their demands were not as high as Lin Yan's, and they would be satisfied with just any car. He Shueyue heard Lin Yan's interactive dialogue with the broadcast room, and it occurred to her that if she could also broadcast the sound of the Bugatti Night, the effect would definitely blow other supercars away. However, this requires the consent of the owner, Lin Yan. It's fine. Lin Yan casually said, whether one person broadcasts or 2 people broadcast together, it's all the same. He Shueyue and he are not on the same live streaming platform, so they basically don't affect each other. Thank you, Lin Xiao. He Shueyue's eyes revealed joy, and a charming smile appeared on her face as she called out sweetly. Is this a prepared act? It's getting more and more like the real thing. I feel like he's setting up a persona. Nowadays, many outdoor anchors imitate the routines of the entertainment industry and project the image of a rich second generation. He Shueyue's conversation with Lin Yan was naturally heard by the audience in the broadcast room. The more they watched, the more they felt that it seemed like a prepared script. Whether it was real or fake, everyone would soon find out. This kind of thing is deceptive and will be revealed in no time. Just as Lin Yan was about to enter the parking area, He Shueyue stopped him. Lin Xiao, don't worry, let the audience share the live broadcast first. After the number of shares exceeds 50,000, we'll go down and show everyone the Bugatti Black Knight. Compared to Lin Yan, who is a novice, He Shuiwa, the professional anchor, undoubtedly has more experience in live broadcasts and knows how to make reasonable use of and mobilize the curiosity of the audience to increase the popularity of the live broadcast. The audience, who can't wait to see the result, will naturally continue to share the live broadcast, which will attract more and more people to enter the live broadcast and increase its popularity. Lin Yan nodded in agreement. That makes sense. First, let's wait for everyone to share the live broadcast room, and then in a while, I'll take everyone to see the car. She's really teasing us. What a bad woman. Shugo is still so simple, he almost took us there directly. Stop comparing, hurry up and share. It's already been shared. I've shared it too. There have already been more than 10,000 shares in the live broadcast room. Everyone, work hard, hurry up and share. If everyone shares once, we'll be done. At this time, the audience in the live broadcast room was even more anxious than the anchor, Lin Yan. The number of shares in the live broadcast room continued to rise, and the popularity continued to grow. 10 minutes later, the goal of 50,000 shares was completed. The curiosity of enthusiastic netizens could not be stopped. Young master, the number of shares in the live broadcast room has reached 50,000. Zheng Xiaoling, who had been paying attention to the situation in the live broadcast room through another mobile phone, reminded him. Let's go. Lin Yan led Zheng Xiaoling, followed by the female host He Shuiwa, and the three of them walked down the bleachers and towards the parking area. Qin Wen and the others stayed in the bleachers. As soon as they entered the parking area, the audience in the broadcast room exploded after a short period of silence, and the chat screen in the broadcast room was flooded with messages. Holy shit, is this a Lamborghini Huracan? There's also a Lamborghini Aventador next to it. The big bull and the little calf, the whole set. This one is a McLaren 600 LT? My life goal. Holy shit, is that a McLaren Elva over there? The keyboard warrior just said he wanted to see this car, come on out. Have we entered a supercar car show? Or have we robbed a supercar car show? So many supercars? This is literally my dream garage, and humble tears streamed down my cheeks. The people in the broadcast room, both men and women, were shocked and surprised at the same time. There were as many as a dozen or so supercars of different colors and cool shapes lying quietly here. Awesome! There were naturally no shortage of car enthusiasts in the broadcast room, and they recognized these supercars at first glance. The prices of these dozen or so supercars ranged from a minimum of 2 million to tens of millions of yuan, and although they had not yet found the Bugatti Veyron or the Ferrari LaFerrari. However, the value of this part of the supercars alone is already infinitely close to one small goal. Close to 100 million. Just quietly parked here, this is equivalent to a push of gold mountains and silver mountains. Crazy, the audience is completely crazy. This is really crazy. Although I admit that there are a lot of sports cars here, and they look very impressive, I still don't believe that there is a Bugatti Blackbird here, and at most there is a Ferrari LaFerrari. I think so too. I guess we'll be shown a glimpse of the Ferrari LaFerrari next, and then they'll use any excuse to get away with not showing the Bugatti Chiron for now. Damn, we're all the way here, and there are still idiots engaging in conspiracy theories. If you don't want to watch, just leave. I'm just saying, expressing my own opinion, what's the rush? Lin Yan looked at the live broadcast room and the barrage of arguments, and said, okay, everyone, let's stop arguing. We'll know whether it's true or not soon. He waved to Zheng Xiaoling and He Shuiwa, and he took the lead, with the two girls following behind him to take pictures. Lin Yan's Bugatti Black Knight and Qin Wen's Ferrari LaFerrari were parked at the far end, out of sight from the outside. As they got closer, they soon. In the farthest corner were two of the most unique supercars, surrounded by numerous other sports cars, like emperors among nobles. The first thing that caught the eye was the flaming Ferrari LaFerrari on the outside. The barrage of comments on the live broadcast instantly rolled like thunder. It really is a Ferrari LaFerrari. LaFerrari. It's so cool. LaFerrari, my favorite. No. There's also a black one next to it. The audience's excited exclamations had just started when a dark figure appeared, their eyes darting, and the excitement suddenly came to a sudden halt. Special thanks to Who Loves Walnut Tofu Soup. Big Guy presents character summoning. Chapter 73, Showing Off. The barrage of bullets that had been rolling furiously just now suddenly turned silent. It was as if the climax was about to come, but it was suddenly interrupted, leaving a strange feeling of being left hanging. As the camera panned, the audience suddenly noticed that behind the flaming Ferrari LaFerrari was a sleeping ancient beast. It was as dark as the night sky, like a ghost walking in the dark, but it was even more dazzling and eye-catching than the fiery red Ferrari LaFerrari. The Ferrari LaFerrari, which had just revealed its own radiance, was instantly robbed of all its brilliance. The attention that had been focused on it was all taken away and turned to the black supercar next to it. As the camera slowly moved from the majestic front of the car, with its exaggerated front air intake grille, to the rear, where the ostentatious centrally mounted 6-exit exhaust is located, it had a strong visual impact. The smooth body lines extend from the front to the rear. The sound of the Bugatti Black Knight gradually revealed its true appearance to all the viewers in the broadcast room. After a short moment of silence came a volcanic eruption. At that moment, it was as if a video with hundreds of millions of views had been clicked on, and the volume of comments was only available during the climax. If the crazy comments were not turned off, they would block the screen. Holy shit! It really is the sound of the Bugatti Black Knight. There is only one in the world, and it is a god car worth hundreds of millions. The 25 million Ferrari LaFerrari, placed next to it, was instantly outshone. Brothers, it's over. I actually think the Ferrari LaFerrari is not that great. Am I still salvageable? Brother Shu is awesome. Awesome Xla. Where are the keyboard warriors and lemon essence from just now? They're being stubborn. Just keep being stubborn. I'll ask if your face hurts. The speed of the barrage was too fast, and there were too many of them, so Lin Yan couldn't make out what the audience was saying. Under the gaze of all the audience in the live broadcast room, Lin Yan silently pulled out a key with a technologically advanced appearance. With a single press, the sleeping ancient fierce beast instantly woke up. Its open eyes flashed with dazzling light. The audience gasped in shock. Huh? Could it be that this supercar belongs to the anchor? Ah, what just pricked my eyes? Is this the light of 130 million? I've already taken a screenshot, and this will be my phone's screensaver from now on. Shugo, you can just go live, don't keep reaching for your keys. It's so frustrating. Shu Ji's move just opened my eyes. You really wiped your butt with gauze, and you showed off your skills. Can you guys come up with some earthly idioms? To be honest, at first, when Brother Shu said he could take us to see the Bugatti Black Knight, I didn't believe him. We thought he was bragging, but I didn't realize he was really something. When we walked over and pulled the car door open, the Bugatti Black Knight instantly unfolded, and everyone was so excited they wished they could be there right now, able to get in. Maybe everyone has seen videos online of the Bugatti Black Knight's appearance? But surely no one has seen its interior. Do you want to see what it looks like inside? Hell yes. I've always dreamed of it. Brother Shu, show us. Yes. No problem. Lin Yan greeted, and asked Zheng Xiaoling to come closer. First, they circled the Bugatti Chiron up close, allowing the audience to observe it closely. Then they began to show the interior of the car. After obtaining Lin Yan's permission, he Shuayue also took some simple photos, but not as detailed as Zheng Xiaoling's. Zilu couldn't help but wipe his mouth. The interior is invincible, it is the most luxurious and magnificent interior I have ever seen, and it is worthy of being called the supercar that surpasses the Koenigsegg 11. In comparison, those sports cars that cost millions are nothing. What kind of joke is this? This is a 130 million yuan supercar, a few million. You can only buy one tire with that. The value of this Black Knight alone is more than all the sports cars in this garage combined. It's absolutely outrageous. Brother Shu, can you give us a spin in the Bugatti Chiron? Yes, yes, yes. Although I will never have the chance to drive it in my lifetime, it would be great to experience it from a first-person perspective. Please, just one lap, it's right at the racetrack. Stop talking, I'll recharge my account and buy you a gift right now, just to experience what it's like to drive the Bugatti Chiron. Okay, I'll give you a lap. Lin Yan said, but we need to prepare first. In the meantime, you can help share the broadcast room, and I'll take you for a lap in half an hour. It's a deal. We'll share it right away, no backing out. This was perhaps the most enthusiastic and proactive audience in the live streaming industry, and the number of shares in the broadcast room skyrocketed. More and more viewers came to see the show, flooding the broadcast room with ever-increasing popularity. At the same time, all kinds of gifts were also being sent like crazy. Half an hour later, Lin Yan was on the track, giving the audience a taste of speed and passion in the Bugatti Black Sound. This time, Lin Yan didn't drift, but just drove in a more conventional way, and incidentally broke a lap record. Then, on the long straightaway, he accelerated back and forth a few times. The audience got to experience the Bugatti Black Sound's 100-meter acceleration in just 2 seconds and its 1,500 horsepower. Until the end, the audience in the live broadcast room was still excited. It was so exciting. I have no regrets. Ah, the sound of the engine, I can't stand it. The speed is so exciting. The whistling wind from outside almost made me think I was sitting in a plane about to take off. Is this really the speed that can be reached on land? Tower, you may take off, I repeat, you may take off. Okay, this outdoor broadcast will end here, I'm going to go off the air now. Lin Yan said to the broadcast room. Shuge, when will you broadcast live next time? Will you broadcast tomorrow? I broadcast live on an ad hoc basis, and don't broadcast at a fixed time. Viewers who want to watch can follow me a little bit, and I will notify everyone when I go live. The audience was disappointed, but they didn't say much. After all, it's definitely not easy to conduct such a high-quality outdoor live broadcast every time. After closing the live broadcast, Lin Yan put away his phone and returned to the stands with the two girls. Chapter 74, Do you know the subway signs? After the live broadcast ended, Lin Yan glanced at the task progress on the system interface. Current task progress, 81891/1000000. The effect of this live broadcast was truly extraordinary, and the popularity was even higher than the last time, reaching more than 500,000 directly. With such high popularity, he directly received 80,000 gift rewards. Not bad. After closing the interface, Lin Yan was very satisfied. A large part of these rewards was generated by the audience's desire to watch the test drive of the Bugatti Black Knight at the end, which was very exciting. He Shueyue, who also finished the live broadcast, came to Lin Yan again to thank him. Lin Xiao, thanks to you, I had such a good live broadcast effect this time. Although in the end she was unable to get into the Black Knight and experience the feeling of a test drive. However, she managed to capture the scene of the Bugatti Veyron speeding by, which brought considerable heat and effect to her live broadcast. This live broadcast not only brought her considerable benefits, but also gained the attention of a large number of fans. It has had a huge boost to her live broadcasting career. All of this is thanks to Lin Yan. It's a small thing. He Shueyue hesitated for a moment, but still chose to take a step forward. Compared to the live broadcast effect Lin Yan just brought her, his own attractiveness was even more fatal. Both his appearance and wealth were beyond what an ordinary person could imagine. He was simply the perfect man in He Shueyue's eyes, and she couldn't help but be moved. Her purpose for coming here this time was to try to hook up with a rich second generation other than live streaming. If she could hook up with a rich second generation, the benefits she could get would be much greater than the hard work she did every day streaming. And with the help and support of a rich second generation, her live streaming career would also get better and better, killing two birds with one stone. At first, He Shueyue's goal was Qinwen. But when Lin Yan appeared, she changed her mind. Seeing this handsome, rich guy who was even more handsome and richer than Qinwen, He Shueyue knew exactly what choice to make. He Shueyue stuck close to Lin Yan, breathing in his ear like a gentle breeze, and whispered, Mr. Lin, do you know what the sign on the subway says? What does it say? It says, stand firm and hold on tight. Lin Xiao, you can hold on to my waist tonight, too, and remind me like this heartsuit. Lin Yan turned his head and glanced at He Shueyue, and casually refused, saying, let's talk about it some other time if we get the chance. He Shueyue has a slender figure. However, she is plump in the right places, and her appearance is above average. She is not one of those female anchors who rely solely on filters and beauty enhancements, and she still has a bit of a good foundation. However, Lin Yan doesn't have any thoughts about her. Although He Shueyue's appearance and figure are quite good, a woman like her is at best a barely tolerable frame. Others may be interested in a playful manner, but Lin Yan is not interested at all. Lin Yan stayed at the racetrack until nearly 5 p.m. Qinwen pulled him into another WeChat group, which was made up of these rich second-generation members. In a while, there will be an international car show held in China. Are you interested in going together? An international auto show? Yes, it's a very big auto show. Many major car and sports car groups will participate in the exhibition, and they will probably bring out their best products, so you can see a lot of great cars. Okay, in that case, I'd better go check it out. Auto shows are just as irresistible to car fans as comic book conventions are to fans of Japanese animation. Lin Yan is not a big car fan, but he also likes sports cars, and he has never been to an auto show before, so of course he wants to go and see it for himself. Okay, I'll contact you then. Sure. Lin Yan stood up after he finished speaking. I still have things to do, so I'll go first. You guys continue to have fun. It's getting late, so I said goodbye to Qin Wan and waved to everyone else. I was about to leave with Zhang Xiaoling when I received a phone call. After the call, Lin Yan temporarily gave up the idea of going back. Xiaoling, are you going back to the villa area? Or are you going to stay in the city for now? Young master, if you have something to do, I can go find Butler Luo myself and go back to the villa area with him. Okay, I'll give you a ride. After asking Zhang Xiaoling for her opinion, Lin Yan contacted Luo Andy, who was in the Shanghai city area, and drove Zhang Xiaoling over to him. He then drove off alone. Almost half an hour later, Lin Yan drove to a top-notch French restaurant called Monfamen. This is one of the most upscale Western restaurants in Shanghai, and the prices are extremely expensive, with a per capita consumption of over 2,000 yuan. Reservations also need to be made several days in advance. Otherwise you simply won't get a seat. After parking the car, he walked into the restaurant, indicated his purpose, and was led by a waiter into a private room. As soon as he entered the private room, Lin Yan saw Chu Siyu sitting in the seat inside. Today, Chu Siyu was wearing a dress with an openwork pattern on a black background. The upper body was covered up tightly, and only a delicate collarbone was visible above the neck. The lower body was half covered, showing off her long legs. Her skin was fair as snow, and her figure was exquisitely proportioned. A light dusting of makeup was applied to her pretty face, and a thin layer of lipstick was applied to her lips, revealing her incomparable charm. Her black hair fell like a waterfall, dancing wildly. Half of her black hair falls behind her back, while the other half falls over her breasts. With a slender waist and long legs, the hem of her skirt can't cover the bottom, revealing a slender calf. It exudes a lustrous radiance, making people want to carry it on their shoulders. A pair of black high heels on her feet makes her already elegant temperament even more refined. Beautiful as a lily. Sexy. Beautiful. She is worthy of being a popular superstar who has charmed thousands of young boys and girls. Unfortunately, he has already taken the lead, and in the future, he will be the only one. The big star specially asked me to dinner today. Is there something going on? Chu Siyu put down her phone and gave him a glare. Didn't you say before that I was an 18th tier little star? Now you're calling me a big star? Last time, I didn't know your identity, but now that I know, how dare I neglect you, the big star? You said before that I should be available whenever you need me. Well, I just finished answering your call, and I came to see you as soon as possible. Ah. This jerk is so annoying. We haven't seen each other for a few days, and I invited him to dinner out of goodwill. Not only did he not praise himself when we met, but he even snubbed her. Chu Siho puffed up her cheeks, looking like a pushover. Chapter 75, Location Scouting in Sanya. What do you mean you're the first to arrive? I've been waiting for you for half a day, and you're only here now because you're hungry. Hurry up and order. Chu Siyu pushed the menu in her hand in front of him and turned her little head away from him. This was her way of expressing her dissatisfaction. Lin Yan smiled, pretended not to see Siyu's little temper, pulled out a chair and sat down next to her. Then, without any further ado, he put his hand on Chu Siyu's slender waist directly and boldly, in front of the waiter next to them. And with a slight force, he pulled her over. Feeling the warmth of his hand on her waist, Chu Siyu's body slightly stiffened, and it was a bit unnatural. A little blush appeared on her pretty face, and there was some panic and tension in her expression. Although she had had that kind of relationship with him last time, it was after all an accident, and Chu Siyu's heart had not yet been able to completely get used to and accept it. Such an intimate move made her blush and her heart beat fast. She twisted a few times, trying to break free, but not only did she fail, but Lin Yan patted her but twice. Chu Siyu flushed, her face turning bright red, and hurriedly pushed his hand away, whispering in his ear, "What are you doing? Let go of me, there are people nearby." Lin Yan raised his eyebrows. Oh? From the sound of it, you want to wait until there's no one around? Papa, I didn't mean that, don't get the wrong idea. Without even thinking, Chu Siyu hurriedly shook her head and whispered. Watching Chu Siyu's reaction, Lin Yan smiled without saying a word, and without continuing to tease her, he took the menu and casually ordered a few dishes, then dismissed all the waiters in the private room. Although it was exciting to have someone watching in the private room, it was really inconvenient. Chu Siyu had thin skin, so Lin Yan still took care of her feelings. Go ahead, you busy man, what is it that you want this time? Chu Siyu gave him a blank look again, Can you please speak properly? Lin Yan shrugged. I'm not wrong. You've rejected all my previous invitations on the grounds that you were busy. I was filming a movie, I really was busy, it wasn't intentional. You're a big man, why be so petty? It's not impossible for me to stop being petty, it depends on how you behave tonight. Chu Siyu pursed her lips, so this was what it was all about? Rhodium cesium bismuth. Before long, the waiter returned to the private room, pushing a cart. Time passed, and the meal lasted the length of a movie before finally coming to an end. After finishing eating, they paid the bill. After leaving the restaurant, the two of them didn't rush back, but walked side by side on the lively street, enjoying the night breeze and taking a walk to digest their food. Chu Siyu was silent for a while, and then looked at Lin Yan beside her and said, I'm going to temporarily leave Shanghai next week and go to Sanya. Lin Yan was taken aback and turned his head when he heard this. Well, there's a scene in the movie that needs to be filmed in Sanya, so the team is preparing to go there. How long will you be gone for? It's hard to say. If the filming goes smoothly and quickly, it can be finished in half a month, but if something unexpected happens, it could take a long time. You made a special effort to invite me to dinner today just to tell me this? Chu Siyu nodded lightly. Before you go to Sanya, do you have anything to do in the next 2 days? No, I'm on vacation and haven't thought of anything to do yet. In that case, I'll put up with it and spend 2 days with you. Chu Siyu. Chu Siyu's mouth twitched, speechless. It was obvious that he wanted to take advantage of her, but in his mouth it sounded like he was doing it reluctantly. Lin Yan knew that Chu Siyu had always wanted to make a good movie of her own, and it was common for movie filming and location scouting to require running around different attractions. Lin Yan understood and supported her career. However, Chu Siyu was leaving this time and didn't know when she would be back, so they had only 2 days together. It's still early, where do you want to go? I'll accompany you. Go, watch a movie? Chu Siyu didn't know what to do at this time either. She had never been in a relationship before and had no experience dating a guy. Okay, let's go watch a movie first. 2 days is not a short period of time anyway, and tomorrow I'll take you out for something else. The two returned to the restaurant parking lot. Is this supercar your car? When Chu Siyu followed Lin Yan to the Bugatti Veyron and saw him open the door and get in the car, Chu Siyu immediately looked shocked and stunned. What do you mean? How else would I open the door? Sitting in the passenger seat of the Bugatti Veyron, Chu Siyu still couldn't quite believe it. This is a Bugatti supercar, which even a big star like her can't afford to buy, but Lin Yan can afford to buy such a sports car? What is his identity? A super rich second generation? After Chu Siyu got into the car, Lin Yan started the car. That night, Lin Yan took Chu Siyu to the nearby movie studio, and when the two of them came out of the studio, he took her to the mall. Regardless of whether Chu Siyu needed it or not, he bought her a bunch of cosmetics, perfumes, jewelry, and bags. Voice of the night. The car slowly drove on. Lin Yan looked at the beautiful woman next to him and smiled slightly. It's getting late, is there somewhere you want to go? If not, shall we go to the aerobic fitness center? Chu Siyu. Chu Siyu's pretty face turned slightly red. She knew exactly what he meant, and it was obvious that if nothing happened tonight, this man definitely would not let her go alone. Her eyebrows twitched slightly, her gaze flickered lightly, and she hesitated to speak, but in the end she did not refuse. Last time, everything that should have happened happened. Since she is already with him anyway, there is no point in pretending to be reserved. Moreover, in the past 2 days since last time, she has been feeling somewhat itchy and restless. Seeing that Chu Siyu is not speaking, Lin Yan asks again, where to? The hotel? After a moment of silence, Chu Siyu says in a very small voice, let's go to my place. Okay. Following the address, Lin Yan drives to Xinling Mansion, an upscale residential area. Chu Siyu had rented a luxury apartment here, also with 1 unit per 3 elevators. Although she was a popular celebrity, she had not been in the spotlight for long, and she had not received many acting roles, so she had not earned much. Moreover, Chu Siyu was a very career-minded woman, and most of her money had been invested in her studio. Therefore, she did not have the funds to buy an expensive luxury home for the time being, so she had chosen to rent a 300-plus square meter luxury apartment here. After entering the community, she parked the car in the parking space belonging to Chu Siyu. The two took the elevator to the 23rd floor, where Chu Siyu's apartment was located. When she got out of the elevator and took out the key to open the door, her hands trembled slightly despite her mental preparation. The mere thought of what was about to happen made her cheeks involuntarily grow hotter and hotter. After entering the room, the two went to the bedroom. After the bedroom's self-lamp lit up, it never went out. That night, and Lin Yan and Chu Siyu stayed up until the morning. Morning dewdrops, sliding off the green leaves, slipping. Not wanting to slip away. The two experienced love and stories that went against the grain. Special thanks to Six-Eared Immortal Big Brother for the explosive updates and character summons. Chapter 76, Do You Want to Eat Something? That night, Chu Siyu had a dream, a very long dream. She dreamed of a torrential downpour that came from the sky, shaking the city in the night. Streams of water ran down the city's roads, and the flowers and plants in the green belts on both sides of the roads were in disarray and falling over under the impact of the ferocious rain. They looked listless, and the flowers, plants, and leaves were scattered all over the place, as if a typhoon had passed through, leaving a mess in its wake. The next day, the bright sun rose, its brightness eclipsing the room lights. The dew finally slowly dripped off the green leaves, and the water on the roads gradually drained away. On this new day, Lin Yan is once again radiant and full of energy. Chu Ziyu, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. Lin Yan wakes up from Chu Ziyu's bed. He has just woken up and hasn't opened his eyes yet, but he can already feel the softness on his skin. Early in the morning, his body is slightly leaning forward. He gently pushes away Chu Ziyu, who has his hair down and is hanging onto him like a white octopus. Lin Yan got up, dressed, and walked to the window. Wei Wei opened the window and looked out at the greenery and clear air. She stretched a little, stretching her muscles, and suddenly felt refreshed. What? Are you looking at outside? At this time, Chu Siyu slowly woke up from sleep. As soon as she slightly opened her eyes, she saw Lin Yan standing by the window, looking out. Upon hearing this, Lin Yan turned back. Chu Siyu, who was lying in bed, was curled up like a kitten, her pretty eyebrows quivering slightly. She casually looked at the view outside the window. Lin Yan closed the window and walked back to sit down next to Chu Siyu. Looking at her half-closed beautiful eyes and a hint of fatigue between her brows, as if she hadn't slept, he asked with concern, "Don't you want to sleep a little longer?" "I fell asleep and woke up. Now I can't sleep anymore." Looking at the man sitting in front of her, Chu Siyu somehow felt determined and, supporting her somewhat weak body, got up. Her body hung on his shoulders, her head pressed against his ear, and the woman's exhaled breath hit his face. Lin Yan sniffed Chu Siyu's body, not sure if it was the lingering scent of perfume or her own body odor, and Lin Yan felt slightly intoxicated. To be honest, Lin Yan's taste is quite picky. He doesn't look down on ordinary beauties, otherwise the women who want to throw themselves at him would have long since taken him for all he's worth. Chu Siyu, both her looks and figure are beyond reproach, both of them are of the highest level. Add to that her status as a superstar sought after by millions. It's hard for any normal man to resist. Being with her is not only physically and mentally pleasurable, it's also heartwarming. Conquering a goddess sought after by millions is a sense of accomplishment like no other. At the moment, Chu Siyu was wearing only a black strapless nightdress. Because of her movements, the quilt that had been covering her body had all slipped off. Suddenly, the ultra-short, lightweight nightdress could not hide the large area of exposed skin at all. And because of the exercise last night, it was now vacuum-packed. Everything that should be exposed and should not have been exposed was exposed. However, I don't know if it's because I'm too tired, or because the person next to me is Lin Yan, Chu Siyu didn't notice at all. Instead, her movements became more and more casual. Lin Yan glanced at her curvy figure, and his already energetic state suddenly felt a bit irritated. He gently embraced her slender waist. "Are you hungry?" Lin Yan asked in a low voice. "I'm okay, I'm not very hungry." Chu Siyu had a lazy expression on her face. Lin Yan said, "You haven't eaten since morning after sleeping until now, you must be hungry, right? Do you want to eat something?" Chu Siyu thought he was concerned about her and smiled sweetly, "But I don't want to move or eat right now, what should I do?" "You can't not eat, being hungry for a long time is easy to cause harm to your body, if you don't want to move that's fine, I'll feed you." "Okay, what are you going to feed me?" "I just ordered food, it hasn't arrived yet, but it's okay, I have something else here, you can eat that for now." "Air." "In an hour." Chu Siyu's pretty face was rosy red, covered in shy red clouds. And a trace of an abnormal, strange redness. Suddenly, the whole person looked even more charming and attractive. Lin Yan. You actually lied to me, you bastard." The expression on Chu Siyu's face was a mixture of anger, resentment, and a trace of shame. Lin Yan, who had once again dressed properly, glanced at her sideways. Her thin red lips trembled slightly. Even without lipstick, she was still sexy and charming. However, they were slightly swollen at the moment, and her lips were not moving well. Her voice was a little hoarse, and she coughed lightly from time to time while speaking. I guess she choked when she ate too quickly. That's not what you said when you begged me last night. How dare you say that? It wasn't enough that you kept me up all night, and now you lie to me and bully me. You said you wanted to feed her, but instead you helped her relive the experience of how her knees could touch her shoulders. Lin Yan shrugged and said, You didn't refuse either, did you? How could I refuse? You didn't even give me a chance to speak. Chu Siyu grabbed the pillow nearby and smashed it hard at Lin Yan. This guy really went too far. He obviously knew that she still had to film after a while, but he still slapped her several times. If she doesn't get better by then, how can she look good on camera? Lin Yan reached out and caught the pillow. Actually, it's not entirely my fault. You seduced me first. So you're saying it's still my fault? Well, almost. Ding dong. Lin Yan was about to say something when the doorbell suddenly rang outside the room. The two of them froze for a moment. Although they were in the bedroom, it was impossible to see from the outside, but Chu Siyu still quickly dove under the covers. Lin Yan covered her up before coming out to answer the door. The person outside was none other than the delivery person Lin Yan had called from the Kyushu hotel. Lin Yan was in the living room giving instructions to the delivery person. In the room, Chu Siyu tried to sit up, but she felt so weak that she didn't want to move. She collapsed on the bed, feeling the aches and pains in every muscle in her body. This guy is really something. I feel like my whole body is falling apart. Feeling unwell, Chu Siyu couldn't help but recall what had happened last night and just now. Her cheeks suddenly turned as red as the sunset outside the window. The last time it happened because she was under hypnosis. The specific process was a bit hazy in her memory, but this time she remembered it vividly. Just as Chu Siyu was blushing, her phone rang. She took the phone on the bedside table and glanced at it, and found that it was her assistant calling. Chu Siyu pressed the answer button and put the phone to her ear and said, Hello? What's the matter? The assistant on the other end of the phone was stunned for a moment, put the phone down, and took another careful look at the number on the screen to make sure she had dialed the right number. She then put the phone back to her ear and said with uncertainty, Is this Siyu? Chu Siyu snapped, If it's not me, then who else would it be? Assistant, I'm sorry, Siyu, your voice has changed so much that I didn't recognize it at first. Upon hearing this, Chu Siyu suddenly thought of something, her face turned red again, and she pretended to cough twice and said, Ahem, I accidentally caught a cold and my throat is a little uncomfortable. Chapter 77 Doggy. Originally, today, Lin Yan wanted to take Chu Siyu out for a stroll again and keep her company and have some fun, but she seemed too tired, so the plan had to be put on hold. After a day of rest. The next day. Chu Siyu had recovered a little, although she was still a little shaky, but she could basically move around without any problems. Lin Yan had previously promised to take her out for a good time and show her around, so he had to keep his word. What are you wearing? We're going out to have fun, not to rob a bank. Lin Yan looked at Chu Siyu, who was standing in front of the mirror, fully armed, and said sarcastically, If you don't get ready properly, what if you get photographed by the paparazzi? Chu Siyu ignored him and continued preparing for her outing, putting on a custom-made pink Chanel lady's hat on her head. It wasn't long before Chu Siyu finished changing and got dressed. She wore a large pink sun hat on her head, and her head was slightly bowed under the hat. Through the shadow of the brim, one could only see a white, delicate chin. Under her wide-brimmed sun hat, she wore a face mask and a pair of large black sunglasses that covered most of her face. She wore a large coat that concealed her originally curvy and graceful figure, and jeans and flat shoes on the lower half of her body. She looked like a thief in disguise. Just by looking at her appearance, even someone who knew her well would not be able to recognize her for a while. However, no matter how Chu Siyu dresses, even if she only shows her back, she can still easily arouse the infinite reveries of others and become the focus of the crowd. A true killer of backs. You celebrities are really strange. Sometimes you hate for the whole world to know when you go out, and sometimes you sneak around like a thief. Pfft, you're a thief, don't confuse me with other people, okay? I've never bragged about it, I've always traveled low-key. Okay, let's go. Lin Yan, who was walking in front of him, suddenly felt a delicate and smooth touch on his hand. It was as if a soft and warm piece of nephrite had been transferred into his palm. Chu Siyu, who was following behind, took the initiative to extend her own soft palm and gently grasp Lin Yan's hand. At that moment, in the parking lot, inside a black business car, three young men with shifty looks were looking around with shifty eyes, as if they were waiting for or looking for something. When Lin Yan and Chu Siyu walked downstairs together, one of them spotted them first and immediately shouted in a low voice. "Sang-gu! Sang-gu! He's coming out, he's coming out! Look, isn't that big star Chu Siyu over there? He's finally coming out." Husan spat out the cigarette he was smoking and immediately grabbed the camera next to him. "Okay. Don't just stand there, hurry up and film." Husan gave a shout to the two minions behind him. "Wow, beautiful Chu, she's actually holding hands with that man, this is big news. If this gets out, there's going to be a big stir in the entertainment industry again." Usually the ice-cold and pure star Chu was actually acting intimately with a strange man, G. The two paparazzi minions said with a smile. During the conversation between the three, Lin Yan had already taken Chu Siyu and got into the Bugatti Black Sound. Husan's eyes lit up, and he quickly snapped a photo of the scene. It's the Bugatti Black Knight. Ha, a while ago everyone was wondering how Chu Siyu suddenly managed to pull in 200 million in movie sponsorships. Now it seems that the 200 million is not just going to the movie, but also to her personally. As he watched the starting Bugatti Black Knight, Husan also wore a smile on his face, saying meaningfully. He had only heard the rumor that the popular celebrity Chu Siyu might be living in this neighborhood, so he took a chance and brought his junior along to stake out the area. He never expected to actually get a good shot. And a bonus one at that. What should we do now, Sang-gu? Go back to the studio? No, there's no rush. These photos alone aren't convincing enough. Look at them, they look like they're going out together. Let's follow them and keep shooting. Maybe we can see something even better. If we can get photos of them coming back together, that will be the clincher. Okay, Sang-gu. The paparazzi quickly started the car and followed the Bugatti Blackbird closely. Husan kept an eye on the camera and kept adjusting the angle to shoot. Traffic was heavy along the way, but all the owners of the Blackbird wisely chose to stay away from this supercar worth hundreds of millions of dollars. They were afraid that if they weren't careful, they would have to sell their houses and cars and go bankrupt. The black business car, like all the other cars, kept a large distance, trailing far behind the Bugatti Black Knight, unobtrusive. After a while, the Bugatti Black Knight stopped at an amusement park. Lin Yan had previously gone to the movies and strolled around the streets with Chu Siyu, and this time he chose to take her to the amusement park. The two got off the car, bought tickets, entered the amusement park, and started eating, drinking, and having fun. From the carousel and bumper cars, to the thrilling roller coasters, the big swing and the rapids. Then they took Chu Siyu to the haunted house, scaring her so much that she kept burrowing into Lin Yan's arms. Finally, the two had a unique dinner on the Ferris wheel. This was Chu Siyu's first time at an amusement park, and she was here with the man she had given her heart and soul to. At the end of the day, Chu Siyu was happy and content. The three paparazzi who had followed them all day were also very happy. Husan was overjoyed when he followed the two back to the Xinling mansion and took photos of Lin Yan and Chu Siyu going upstairs together. The superstar Chu Siyu and her mysterious second-generation rich boyfriend had had a great time at the amusement park, had dinner together on the Ferris wheel, and finally went back to their place together and went upstairs together. There was so much information and so much room for speculation. If only it was released, it would immediately cause an explosion online. These photos and videos can be sold for hundreds of thousands, no, millions of dollars. In the black business car, Husan chats with his two paparazzi. San, what do we say now? Spend the night here and wait for them to come down tomorrow? No need. We already took photos of them coming out together in the morning. Put the two sets of photos together, with one set showing them going up the stairs and the other set showing them coming down the stairs. With a little guidance, they can be put together. It doesn't matter whether they spend the night together tonight or not. The paparazzi team gave a knowing smile and nodded. In their line of work, it is all about truth and fiction, confusing the public, exaggerating the facts using rumors and the internet users' imagination. What's more, most of the material they have captured this time is true. Let's go back and strive to expose these photos tomorrow, the sooner the better. As he watched Lin Yan and Chu Siyu disappear, Husan put down the camera and turned his head and said, Chapter 78, Additional System Features. As the paparazzi started the car and the black business car left, a system prompt suddenly sounded in Lin Yan's ear. Ding, system prompt, paparazzi secretly taking photos of the host. Lin Yan suddenly stopped, turned his head and looked back, just in time to see the black business car not far away, slowly driving away. He frowned. He remembered that when he and Chu Sihyu went out in the morning, they saw a black business car parked here. It seemed that this business car had also followed their car into the community one after the other. So this business car has been following him all day? Lin Yan's eyes grew cold. Being followed, having one's privacy invaded, and having photos and videos taken, no matter who it is, this kind of thing is upsetting. These paparazzi should not be after him. Lin Yan felt that he had always been quite low-key, and had never done anything earth-shattering, so it was impossible that he would inexplicably attract a group of paparazzi who deliberately followed and secretly filmed him. Then the target of this group of paparazzi was obviously Chu Sihyu, the popular celebrity next to him. Once Lin Yan had figured out the key point, his brows furrowed, and he realized that these paparazzi were really pervasive. What Lin Yan was more worried about was that if the other party had already sent the photos to someone, or secretly left a backup somewhere, then this would be somewhat troublesome. It would be easy to leave hidden dangers. System, can you help delete the photos and videos? Lin Yan tentatively asked in his mind, not holding out much hope. But, surprisingly, the system answered him. Ding, does the host pay 1 million renminbi to erase the relevant videos and images? His eyes lit up. That's good. 1 million is nothing. But if the system does it, it can guarantee that there won't be any hidden dangers. Moreover, could this be considered an accidental discovery of the system's additional functions? Just as Lin Yan was about to agree, a pleasant voice came from his side. What are you looking at? Seeing that Lin Yan suddenly stopped walking, Chu Sihyu also stopped and walked back to him, asking in puzzlement. At the same time, he looked in the direction of his gaze, but he didn't see anything. The black business car had already left. Yes. Lin Yan first answered the system in his heart. Ding, the corresponding amount has been deducted from the host account. Starting to delete all secretly taken photos and videos, and starting to track and delete all online traces. Hearing the system's prompt, Lin Yan let out a sigh of relief. Then, he smiled at Chu Sihyu, reached out his right hand to embrace her waist, and helped her up the stairs. It's nothing, I suddenly thought of something, let's go upstairs first. Seeing Lin Yan's smile, coupled with his actions, Chu Sihyu was taken aback and thought that he was preparing to do something bad again. Suddenly, Chu Sihyu's originally fair and pretty face turned rosy in an instant. But she forced herself to remain calm and looked at Lin Yan with a face full of vigilance. I'm warning you, don't ever think any more bad thoughts. Obviously, Chu Sihyu had misunderstood and thought that Lin Yan had been thinking about something unhealthy as soon as he had returned. She hurriedly tried to correct him. What? Lin Yan was momentarily stunned by Chu Sihyu's reaction, and then he reacted, unable to help but feel a little amused. So he wanted to tease her, you say no, and it's no? I'm going to do it anyway. You. Chu Si said angrily, it's no. After that, she quickly broke free from Lin Yan's embrace and took a few steps to run. She was pretty exhausted yesterday after being tossed around by Lin Yan, and it was only after a day of rest that she felt a little better, but if it happened again, it was unknown if she would be able to stand tomorrow. Lin Yan quickly caught up to Chu Sihyu in the elevator. There were only the two of them in the elevator, and Lin Yan didn't hesitate to push her up against the corner. There are surveillance cameras up there, don't do anything crazy. Chu Sihyu said nervously. Oh, Lin Yan deliberately dragged out a long trailing tone and said with a smile, you mean, we can mess around after we get back, right? Chu Sihyu gave him a glare, I didn't mean that, don't talk nonsense, and don't you dare mess around. Lin Yan didn't say anything, and when the elevator arrived, he simply carried her out. You let go of me. Chu Sihyu was really a little panicked. It is said that only tired cows can till the fields, not the other way around. But this saying does not apply to Lin Yan at all. This guy is completely a monster, not a human being. She was too tired to move, but Lin Yan still looked full of energy. Who could stand this as a normal person? If this continued, someone would die sooner or later. After entering the room, Lin Yan put Chu Sihyu on the sofa, but she immediately ran to the other end. Seeing Chu Sihyu's appearance, Lin Yan didn't know whether to be angry or laugh. He sat down on the other sofa and poured 2 glasses of water onto the table. Here, drink some water. I'm not teasing you anymore. Rest well these 2 days. By the way, I have something to tell you. We were just followed by the paparazzi and secretly photographed. What? Chu Sihyu was shocked and her face changed. She stood up from the sofa in a flash. That's impossible. Very few people know where I live. How did the paparazzi know? Chu Siyu was in disbelief. As a public figure, she of course understood the importance of protecting her privacy, especially the confidentiality of her residence. If her residence is exposed, not only will she be easily followed by paparazzi and surrounded by fans, but if she is targeted by certain people, something even more dangerous may happen. Seeing Chu Siyu's reaction and hearing her words, Lin Yan couldn't help but bow his head slightly and ponder. It seems that simply asking the system to help delete the photos and videos taken by paparazzi is not enough. There are still some other problems that must be solved as soon as possible. The first is Chu Siyu's safety. Since the paparazzi have already tracked her here, it means that her current place of residence, even if it hasn't been exposed yet, is not far from being exposed. Obviously, she can't continue living here, she must find a new place. Although the community has security, and Shanghai has better security, it's still better to be safe than sorry. After all, there are always some extreme people who don't care about their lives or are crazy. And those paparazzi, they can't be let off so easily either. The other side. Husan is heading somewhere with his 2 lackeys. In the black business car, Husan is on the phone with someone. I've seen the photo you sent. If what you say is true, this is definitely big stuff. How much do you want for it? President Wang, you should know that this kind of big stuff is hard to come by. We've never had it before. We went to a lot of trouble to get this candid photo, spending 35 hours on the spot. And started talking nonsense, trying to make it sound like the photo shoot was exceptionally difficult and arduous so as to get a high price. Chapter 79, Something's Wrong. Okay. Wang, on the other end of the phone, interrupted impatiently, don't give me this nonsense. I know exactly what kind of person you are. Just name your price. Husan gritted his teeth and said, 3 million? 3 million? You really are asking for a lot. After being in this business for so long, I've never heard of any celebrity material selling for more than $1 million. Hey, Mr. Wang, you said it yourself, it was in the past. The value of these photos and videos is not comparable to that of the past materials. These photos and videos are indeed worth a little more, but they are far from being worth 3 million. I can give you at most 1 million. Mr. Wang, you're really cutting it too deep, aren't you? You're cutting 2 million off right away? Husan pretended to be shocked and said, this is a big scandalous scoop about the popular star Chu Siyu. This is the first time she has been exposed, and the subject is a suspected super-rich second generation. Not only is this scoop big, but most importantly, unlike other scoops that only have 1 or 2 ambiguous photos, this time the photos are very comprehensive. I took almost all the photos I could. You're only offering me 1 million? That's not enough. Just say yes. Of course not, Mr. Wang. We've worked together so many times, we don't need to rip each other off. How about this, let's compromise and make it 2 million. Husan said, if you give me 2 million, the big material is yours, and I can guarantee you that you will have the exclusive rights to it. 1.5 million. 1.8 million. Mr. Wang, this is really the bottom line. 1.7 million. If you think that's okay, send me some photos first, and then come and see me with the rest. Done. Mr. Wang, just a moment, I'll send them to you by email right away. 1.7 million. This is a pretty good price, a little higher than his original estimate. Sang-gu, you're really brilliant, we're going to make a fortune this time. 1.7 million for just one photo. Sang-gu, you are absolutely the number one in the entertainment industry, without equal in the past and without a successor in the future. The paparazzi boy looked like he was flattering him. After Husan sent some of the photos to Wang Zong, he heard the flattery from the paparazzi boy and was quite pleased, with a satisfied expression on his face. Once we get the money, we'll take a break for a while and have some fun. Husan waved his hand in a rather generous manner. These people, they usually go around stalking and taking photos secretly, but once they dig up something big and sell it for money, they immediately go off to have fun and indulge themselves. Sang-gu, where are we going to have fun this time? What do you want to do? Hey, I won't hide it from you, Sang-gu, that top-notch young model I saw at the nightclub last time made me jealous for a long time. Can we go there again this time? Brother San, I want to go again too. Hearing the words of his little dog, Husan's heart itched. He had also seen the headliner, and she was really wow. With some impatience, he said, okay, tonight, we'll go again, and this time, let's go all out and do whatever we want. Last time they went to the nightclub for drinks, they only had a couple drinks and didn't order any entertainment because of their limited budget. This time, they would have money right away. 1.7 million. How could they not go indulge a little? I can't just keep watching. Thanks, Sang-gu. Sang-gu is awesome. I knew I was in the right place by following Sang-gu. The excited doggy boy was dancing and cheering, his eyes shining as he probably thought about something inappropriate in his head. Just as Husan and the others were full of anticipation, thinking about their happy nightlife tonight, no one noticed. The memory of the photos and videos stored in the several cameras they used to take secret photos was suddenly formatted. What was also erased was a memory stick that was used as a backup. Just now, the photos and email records that Husan had sent to President Wang via email also suddenly disappeared, along with all the network traces, background, and cloud data contained in this email route. It was as if he had never sent such an email. Meanwhile, Wanhua Media, a well-known media company in the entertainment industry, the company's boss, Wanhua, is also a well-known film critic in the industry. However, at this time, the inside of Wanhua Media is in a mess. Where is the technical department? What the hell are you doing? All the company's computers have been hacked, and it's been 10 minutes now, 10 whole minutes. Why can't you fix it yet? Wanhua looked at the paralyzed, automatically scrolling computer in front of him, which played random things from time to time. Finally unable to hold back, he roared at the sweating technical staff. Mr. Wang, our system has been hacked in a way that is unprecedented. And the other party's technology is even more advanced than ours. I'm afraid that even if the industry's top tech experts came, they wouldn't be able to solve it in the short term. The head of the technical department came out with a stiff upper lip and explained. I don't want to hear your explanation, I want a solution. If you can't solve it, you can just pack up and leave. Yes, Mr. Wang, I'll deal with it right away. The head of the technical department had a sad face, an expression of wanting to cry but unable to, but he can only agree with a stiff upper lip. Just as Wang Huayue was getting more and more impatient, an employee from the technical department came over. Mr. Wang, we've found the source of the intrusion. Speak. It's... The technical department employee first looked at him carefully before whispering, well, that is, according to our technical department's investigation, the intruder came from your computer. Wang Hua frowned and said coldly, my computer? What exactly? Be more specific. Well, the intruder accessed your computer very quickly, which means that the moment before your computer crashed, what were you doing? Bang. Wang Hua froze for a moment, slammed a fist heavily on the table, and gritted his teeth and said, Husan, you dare to betray me? What was he doing before the computer crashed? At that time, he had just opened the email sent by Husan when the computer suddenly crashed. Then, all the computers in the company, including the server system, were collectively hacked and almost instantly broke through the firewall and protective network, and all of them crashed in the blink of an eye. At first, he thought it was a coincidence and didn't think much of it, but he never imagined that this loser would actually play a trick on him. Just as Wang Hua was about to call back and question Husan, the head of the technical department rushed over, Mr. Wang, there's been an accident. Chapter 80, waving at them. Before he even arrived, the head of the technical department pushed open the office door breathlessly, his face a flurry of panic, and exclaimed, oh no, Mr. Wang, there's been an accident in the machine room. Wang Hua frowned, his expression displeased. What's wrong now? Are you panicking because the problem with the intrusion has been solved? The head of the technical department stammered, his voice small and quiet, Mr. Wang, the machine room is on fire, it's on fire, it's on fire. What? Bang. A high-pitched male voice, accompanied by a clear crash. Wang Hua's face suddenly changed, and with a pop, he quickly stood up from behind his desk. Because he got up too quickly, he accidentally bumped into the desk, and a look of pain appeared on his face as he clenched his teeth. But he couldn't care about that at the moment. The server room was a vital place in the company, the most important place in the company, where the servers of Wanhua Media were kept. The servers store a large amount of information and data. All of Wanhua Media's information and data, including the news it buys and the scoops its paparazzi dig up, are stored on the servers in the machine room. It is the lifeblood of the company. This place is the most important part of the entire company. Therefore, the machine room is also equipped with fire extinguishing and isolation mechanisms, and the fire prevention measures are the best. Logically, under normal circumstances, even if there is a fire elsewhere, it is impossible for the machine room to catch fire. What's going on? Why did the machine room suddenly catch fire? How bad is the fire? What about the servers? What's happening to the servers in the server room? Hurry up and get someone to put out the fire and get the servers out. Wang Hua yelled anxiously, with a hint of hope in his heart. The servers are fine, as long as the servers are fine. If the servers burn, there will be big trouble, and it will cost a lot of money to rebuild them. The head of the technical department stammered, with sweat pouring down his head, too afraid to speak. Just fucking say something. Wang Hua was exasperated and grabbed whatever was at hand and threw it over without looking at what it was. The head of the technical department was startled. Mr. Wang, the fire is not big and has been extinguished, but what? Hearing that the fire had been extinguished, Wang Hua let out a sigh of relief. However, only the server had burned, and everything else was fine. Shit. What the hell is going on? Why would the server be fine and burn? Mr. Wang, well, we don't know what happened yet. It happened very suddenly. The server suddenly started smoking and catching fire. Fortunately, the fire was small and put out quickly. But the inside of the server is completely burned out and completely scrapped. The people in the finance department are currently estimating the damage. Upon hearing this, Wang Hua took a deep breath, and the on his forehead jumped. Which computer room burned down? This is to prevent problems in one server room from affecting the other, and to ensure that backup data is retained and restored. This is why, although he was anxious when he heard that the server room had burned down, he was not completely panicked. Mr. Wang, both servers are completely destroyed. What did you say? Wang Hua suddenly felt a blackout, his world spinning, his feet giving way, and he instantly collapsed into his chair. He almost fainted right there and then. It's all over, it's all over, it's all over. This fire. It's all gone. The loss is beyond measure. The head of the technical department and another employee saw this and glanced at each other before exiting the office. There was no benefit to staying in the office at this time except getting yelled at, so it was best to leave quickly. At the same time, the head of the technical department let out a sigh of relief. The computer room had burned down, and indirectly, the problem of the system being hacked and paralyzed had also been solved. His job was saved. Wang Hua's eyes were vacant as he sat there, not knowing how long it had been. The door to the office was pushed open from the outside once again. A secretary in uniform walked in. Mr. Wang, Mr. Hussan, they're here. Very good, Hussan, you actually dare to come here. Wang Hua looked up sharply, laughed angrily, and said viciously. Wang Hua had not forgotten that before the computer room burned down, Hussan had also tricked him. The company's system was hacked and paralyzed because of the photo Hussan sent him, and it might also be related to the sudden server failure. Wang Hua's heart was full of anger, and there was nowhere to vent it. How dare this Hussan come over now? Is he trying to see the expression on his face after being tricked by him? Or is he trying to come and secretly laugh at the current miserable state of Wang Hua Media? An angry Wang Hua turned to his secretary and asked, "Where are they now?" "They just entered the company gate and should be in the elevator." "Okay, you go now and get the company's security team to come over." The other side. Hussan and the others greeted the receptionist at Wang Hua Media, and the three of them got into the elevator and headed up. Hussan was holding the camera he was going to use for the deal. Since he had sent a portion of the photos to Wang Hua in advance, Hussan had not opened the camera to check it, and at this time, he did not know that the photos and images in the camera had long since disappeared. Not only the photos he was preparing to sell this time, the scandalous photos of Chu Siyu and her boyfriend from a wealthy family, but also the photos of other celebrities he had secretly taken, were all formatted and deleted by the system and disappeared. "Sangu has made contact and booked a private room, so we can go there tonight." The paparazzi junior hung up the phone and said, "Okay, after the transaction is complete and we get the money, we'll go over there." On the way here, they didn't do anything else but contact the nightclub and book the private room for tonight. They had no idea what was waiting for him upstairs. They didn't realize the severity of the problem. Ding! Hussan said to the paparazzi. With a light sound, the elevator arrived. The elevator door slowly opened a crack, and the light from outside the elevator shone in. The three men turned their heads and looked outside expectantly. There, 1.7 million yuan was beckoning to them, waiting for them to collect it. In the expectant eyes of the three men, the elevator door opened, and what greeted them was 5 burly men with unhappy expressions. "Get out!" The leader of the men shouted at the 3 men in the elevator. Hussein frowned and glanced at the floor displayed on the elevator, and saw that they had not gone to the wrong floor. "Who are you?" In response to Hussein's question, the burly man didn't say a word. Seeing that Hussein and the two paparazzi were standing still, three of the burly men stepped forward. One man grabbed Hussein and the two paparazzi by the collar with one hand each, while Hussein and the other two were dumbfounded and unable to react. They dragged them out of the elevator. Chapter 81, If you can't say anything, just keep beating him. The burly man's movements were rough, and Hussein lost his grip on the camera in his hand and dropped it, which fell to the ground. Hussein was anxious, because all the money was in the camera. In his anger, he glared angrily at the burly man in front of him, grabbed the man's hand and tried to struggle free. "What are you doing? Let me go. Behave yourself, don't make any more noise or move around, or I won't be polite." Hussein not only failed to break free from the strong man, but was instead punched without mercy by the other party. The pain made him gasp for breath, and he dared not move again. The strong man only let go of Hussein and the two doggies after dragging them into an office. Then, with a fierce look on his face, he surrounded the three of them, threatening to strike if they did not agree. Seeing this scene, the two doggies, who had not experienced anything major, panicked, and cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Hussein appeared to be quite calm, but his eyelids were twitching furiously. These five burly men, each over 180 centimeters tall, had broad shoulders and thick arms with muscles that were thicker than most people's legs. They looked like they were trouble. In contrast, the three of them were all thin-armed and thin-legged, with a weak-looking appearance, and they were not at all tough. If a real fight broke out, they would be beaten half to death, wouldn't they? "What do you want?" "We are here to see President Wang to discuss cooperation. We are guests," Hussein angrily questioned. "Humph, discuss cooperation, guests? Hussein, I didn't think at this time of day you could still say such shameless things. You are worthy of being a paparazzi who stalks and secretly films people. You are truly shameless and not comparable to ordinary people." The side door to the office opened and a playful voice sounded. Hussein turned his head and saw Wang Hua walk in from the door. "President Wang, did you order them to do this?" "What do you mean? Are you not going to make the deal and want to break the contract?" Hussein asked with some confusion. "Didn't you say that they would come here to make the deal? Is this the attitude for making a deal? Break the contract? How dare you betray me and not admit it? However, I am surprised that you still have the courage to come here. Do you really take me for a fool? Or do you think that I am an easy target? You couldn't find anything? Wang Hua, what do you mean? After getting some of the photos, you want to go back on your word?" Although Hussein didn't know exactly what was going on, looking at the other party's attitude, it was obvious that they had no intention of continuing the transaction, but instead were threatening to turn their backs on him. Hussein simply stopped calling him President Wang and called him Wang Hua directly. "Ha ha." Seeing Hussein's unrepentant attitude, Wang Hua didn't bother to waste any more words on him, pulled over a chair and sat down, crossing his legs. Then, regardless of why they still dared to come over, he waved his hand directly at the 5 security guards and ordered, "Beat them up. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility." Upon hearing this, the 5 burly men immediately stepped forward and pounced on Hussein and the 2 doggy lackeys. Hussein and the other 2 tried to resist, but they were no match for the 5 burly men, and in the blink of an eye they were subdued and pinned to the ground. Then, in the office, screams and moans of pain sounded one after the other. The atmosphere was full of anxiety. "Don't come any closer, let me go, ah. Stop, please stop. I'll fight you to the death, ah. Wang Hua, you just wait, if you dare to do this, I dare to do that, I will definitely dig up dirt on you and expose you. You damned dog, how dare you keep your mouth shut, hit him harder until he can't speak. Pop." The leader of the strong man unceremoniously slapped Hussein in the face. Hussein felt half of his face being twisted out of shape. Visibly, 2 bloody teeth flew out of sight from the corner of his eye. After a short period of numbness, the intense pain instantly stimulated the nerves in the brain. "Ah." Hussein covered his face tightly and let out a loud wail. Wang Zong, I'm sorry, I won't dare to do it again, please let me go." Hussein was finally afraid and dared not be stubborn anymore. He knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Wang Hua said indifferently, "Let you go? Okay, I'll give you one last chance. Tell me, who is behind you, who set you up to betray me? If you tell me, I can consider letting you go." With his status in the entertainment industry, it would be easy for Wang Hua to deal with a paparazzo like Husan. But Husan was not his main target. Beating him up was simply to vent his anger, and the key was the person behind Husan, the one who instructed him. Wang Hua's thinking was very simple. This time, the company's system was hacked, and on the surface, Husan was the one who set him up, but there must be a mastermind behind Husan. Of course, Wang Hua did not think that the person who wanted to set him up was Husan himself. Husan was just a deadbeat paparazzo who did things for money, and Wang Hua and him had no conflict of interest at all. He must have accepted bribes from someone else to do their bidding. Otherwise, there is no reason for him to do something that is so thankless. Husan is just a gun, the key is the person using the gun. Who exactly is targeting him and going after him? In the entertainment industry, it is not the first time that people have attacked and smeared each other. As long as there is money to be made and benefits to be gained, they will do anything. There is definitely more than one person who is unhappy with him, and even more who want to dig up dirt on him and cause him trouble. Who is the culprit? What? Husan is confused. Who is behind this? He has no idea what Wang Hua is talking about. President Wang, is there some misunderstanding? I just came here to do business with you. Who is behind this? Ha ha. Wang Hua gave a cold smile and nodded. I was going to let you off, but I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. Fine, I hope you can keep it up. Keep hitting him. The burly man, who had already stopped, started again. Husan and the two lackeys, already bruised and battered, were once again pinned to the ground and suffered further abuse. Screams once again echoed through the empty office. President Wang, listen to my explanation, really no one instructed me. I just came here to do business with you, you must have misunderstood something. President Wang, please forgive me, I was wrong. Ah, Wang Hua, you will die a horrible death. Husan, who was rolling on the ground, begged for mercy with a miserable look on his face, but the other party showed no sign of relenting. Finally, he jumped out of the wall in desperation and cursed again with malice. The other two paparazzi were relatively much more honest, just begging for mercy the whole time, but it was also useless. While Wang Hua and Husan were fighting like dogs. In Xinling Mansion, in Chu Siyu's apartment. From Lin Yan's mouth, they learned that they had actually been followed by paparazzi for a whole day, and Chu Siyu's face immediately showed an expression of anxiety. What should I do now? If they post the photos online, it'll be bad. From what Chu Siyu knows about these paparazzi, in order to achieve the effect of catching people's attention, they will definitely exaggerate, make up stories, and even smear people indiscriminately. P.S. Special thanks to Zhaotian Zusun, the character summoned by the big man's reward. Chapter 82, You Can't Just Say Thank You. Shuziyu was spinning around in a panic, swaying back and forth in front of Ling Yan. As a popular celebrity, Shuziyu of course was no stranger to these tricks in the industry. From past experience, many artists' normal behavior was photographed by them, and ambiguous photos were deliberately misinterpreted out of context, turning black into white and instantly turning it into negative news. Chu Siyu is in the ascendant of her career and is in the preparatory stage of filming a new movie. If a negative news cycle is generated online at this time, it will inevitably have a significant impact. Perhaps the new movie, which is still in production, will have to be scrapped before it is released. This is the first movie that Chu Siyu has directed and starred in since setting up her studio. From the preliminary preparations to the current filming, it has taken a lot of hard work. Chu Siyu attaches great importance to this movie. If it fails, not only will all her hard work be for nothing, but she will also lose a lot of money. What will she do then? Quit the entertainment industry and give up her dream? Don't worry, I've already solved the paparazzi problem. Those photos won't be leaked. Lin Yan patted Chu Siyu on the shoulder, pulled her to sit down, and assured her. Chu Siyu's anxious expression froze, and she looked at Lin Yan beside her in disbelief, unable to believe what she had heard. Solved? Yes. Lin Yan nodded affirmatively. But, weren't you with me the whole time? How did you solve it? It's not that difficult. Just post a message and let someone else solve it, right? A bunch of little paparazzi, do you expect me to do it myself? Lin Yan unceremoniously bragged. Chu Siyu. Chu Siyu glanced at him. This answer is too perfunctory, and it's obvious that he's not telling the truth. But he had actually solved a problem that would have caused her a lot of trouble without saying a word. That was pretty impressive. There was one more thing that was quite important. Lin Yan's expression became serious. Seeing this, Xu Siyu immediately calmed down. What is it? Do you know who lives here? Let me think. Xu Siyu tapped her white chin and thought for a moment. Apart from a small number of people in the studio, I think only some friends of mine in the entertainment industry know. Lin Yan nodded and then said, so it is not surprising that among these people, someone deliberately revealed your address to the paparazzi, or bribed the paparazzi to deliberately dig up dirt on you. This group of paparazzi has been crouching in the parking lot under the community, and they have been there before you go out. If they didn't know in advance that you live here, it would be impossible. Upon hearing this, Xu Siyu's eyebrows were knitted together, and her pretty face was ice cold. She never expected that in just a few days, she had actually been stabbed twice in a row by the people around her. Who do you think it might be? Lin Yan asked. I don't know. Xu Siyu first shook her head, then thought for a moment and said. However, it should not be someone from the studio. The only people in the studio who know I'm here are the trusted people who have been following me all the time, and they will not disclose my information to the outside world. It is very likely that it was done by a competitor in the entertainment industry. You even told your competitors where you live? Afraid they won't find someone to stake out your place, right? What are you thinking? How could I be stupid enough to do such a thing? Xu Siyu explained, I didn't tell them, but there's no guarantee they couldn't find out or get the information from someone else. In addition, in the entertainment industry, there is more about interests. If I accidentally hinder someone's interests, it's normal for friends to become rivals and wish me dead. The palace struggles in TV dramas really do have a source of inspiration in reality. Xu Siyu was speechless. Although the problem of paparazzi following you has been temporarily solved this time, it is not safe if the location of your residence is exposed. Change your place. Xu Siyu nodded, but this has to wait until I return from Sanya. Besides, it's too late to move for now. It's fine, but don't tell anyone else about the new place except for me. Lin Yan said with a domineering air while reaching out and twisting her white and tender face. I know. Xu Siyu turned her head and looked sincerely at Lin Yan, thank you this time. It's really reassuring to feel like I can rely on you. Just saying thank you is not sincere enough, you have to express it with actions. Lin Yan teased her. Xu Siyu naturally heard what he meant, and she blushed slightly and gave him a look, don't even think about it. After saying that, she hurriedly ran back to her room and closed the door. I was just talking casually, is there a need to be so afraid? Lin Yan shook his head. Who is behind all this? It is necessary to investigate this matter. Lin Yan took out his phone and sent a message to Luo Andy first, and then after thinking about it, he sent a message to Qinwen as well. Before long, the phone rang, and it was Qinwen calling back. Hello? Lin Yan, the license plate number you asked me to check for you, I found it for you. This commercial vehicle is indeed a paparazzi's car. The other person's name is Husan. Can I send you his information via WeChat? Okay, thanks. Lin Yan thanked him. The message he had just sent was the license plate number of the black commercial vehicle he had happened to see when he turned back just before going upstairs. You're being polite with me. Qinwen laughed and scolded on the other end of the phone. After a pause, Qinwen's tone changed and he asked in puzzlement, but Lao Lin, why are you suddenly investigating the information about a paparazzo? Did this guy provoke you? Or do you want to find him to help you dig up dirt on someone? More or less. This guy has been following me around all day, taking pictures, so I want to get rid of him. Following you? Why would a paparazzo follow you? Qinwen's voice was full of surprise, and then a flash of inspiration came to his mind, and he suddenly thought of something. He said with a smile, you weren't going out on a date with some celebrity today, were you? Qinwen is considered a veteran player, and just by thinking about it a little, he guessed the reason. Qinwen said, since that's the case, let me help you solve this problem. Lin Yan, it's not a big deal, you don't need to go to all this trouble. Just because it's not a big deal, you don't need to do it yourself. For this kind of thing, you can just post a message in the group, and someone will be scrambling to help you. The group Qinwen was talking about was the one he had pulled together at the racetrack last time, made up of a bunch of rich second-generation kids in Qinwen's circle. They all knew each other and had a good relationship. Is that really true? Is it that exaggerated? What nonsense are you talking about? Those guys are all eager to help you do something, so that they can get on your good side and be able to talk to you in the future. Do you think I'm joking? Qinwen said. These guys may not be as high level or capable as us, but they all have some ability and connections. If you want to educate these dogs, it might be more appropriate to let them take action. Chapter 83, Don't Speak So Quickly. Lin Yan smiled. In the past, he had always solved problems on his own, but this time he really hadn't thought of anything. Fine, I'll do as you say. It's no big deal. Let me help you. Apart from asking him to delete the photos, what else do you want to teach this paparazzo a lesson? I've already taken care of deleting the photos myself. I mainly want to teach him a lesson and ask him something in passing. Qin Wen paused for a moment. You've already asked him to delete the photos? More or less. He deleted them, but not by himself. Okay, I'll have someone educate him for you. What else do you want to ask? When I left this morning, this guy was crouching in the parking lot. I want to know who told him about this place and told him to stake out here. Damn, crouching in the parking lot, these paparazzi are looking for death. Qin Wen said, I'll go to the group and help you pick a suitable candidate. Let me know if you have any other requirements. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yan quickly received another call from the butler Luo Andy. Luo Andy had found the same information about Husan as Qin Wen had sent. Young master, did the other party follow you or take photos of you? Do you need me to deal with it now? Luo Andy asked. Combining the information before and after, he immediately guessed why Lin Yan had asked him to investigate Husan's information. Well, but this matter has already been dealt with by someone else, so don't worry about it. Just do what you need to do. Yes, young master. Qin Wen sent a message to the group, briefly explaining the situation. Just as Qin Wen had said. Qin Wen sent a message to the group, and as soon as the rich second generation saw it, they jumped at the chance to help Lin Gu. They all said, let me do it. The quiet group immediately became lively. In the middle of the night, Metropolis. This is a newly opened nightclub of medium size in Zhanghai City. The decor is quite unique, and the prices are not as prohibitive as those of high-end establishments, but are more upscale than the low-end clubs that are in a state of chaos. Every day, there are a lot of men and women who come to Metropolis to seek pleasure. The bar owner is a genius. Instead of spending his money on himself, he spent it on a group of young and beautiful high-quality hostesses and a group of high-quality drinks. Although the appearance fee for these hostesses is not low, it still caused a carnival of countless animals. As a result, Metropolis' popularity has skyrocketed, becoming one of the most popular and highest-traffic nightclubs in Zhanghai. At this time, in a private room on the second floor of Metropolis, Husan and his two lackeys were sitting here as they wished. However, they were not in good shape, each of them had different degrees of injuries. At Wanghua Media, the three of them were severely beaten before being thrown out. If it weren't for Wanghua not wanting to cause trouble at this time, he almost beat the three of them half to death. Husan, who had been beaten, was no match for Wanghua and could only choose to temporarily swallow his anger and bring his two lackeys to the Metropolis to drink away his sorrows. Damn it, damn Wanghua, you actually went so far as to beat them up so badly. I curse you to be born with no anus, to be infertile, and to have a house full of children. Husan was holding a can of beer in his hand. After taking a sip, he gritted his teeth and cursed viciously, holding the beer can and slamming it hard on the table, spilling the drink from the bottle's mouth. Because the movement was too large, it immediately aggravated the injuries on his body, and the pain made Husan grit his teeth. Instead of getting the 1.7 million he had been hoping for, he had instead received a vicious beating. How could he swallow his pride? After so many years in the industry, Husan had long since cultivated a nature that valued money above all else, without regard for shame, morality, or even life itself. Although he could not deal with Wang Hua in a fair fight, and could not even compete with him, who was Husan? A paparazzi. As long as he had the opportunity to dig up dirt on Wang Hua, he could get his revenge. Damn it, Wang Hua, this scumbag, lied to me and got someone to beat me up. I'm not finished with him. Sangu is right, this guy Wang Hua has gone too far. Not only did he turn his back on me, he even hit me. Sangu, we can't just take this beating for nothing. Next, let's go dig up dirt on this bastard Wang Hua. We have to get even. Although they were not as tough and reckless as Husan, they were also unhappy about being beaten up for no reason and wanted revenge. Yes, I don't believe he can still be a White Lotus. There is no black material. As the saying goes, it is better to offend a gentleman than to provoke a villain. Husan and his gang of dogs are obviously villains. Knock knock. While the three were talking, the door to the private room was knocked on lightly, then pushed open, and three scantily clad women walked in. "Sir, sorry we're late." In order to dispel his depression, Hussein broke the bank this time and also hired some hostesses. However, these women were not the headliners at the metropolis that they had been eyeing, but just a few hostesses whose prices were cheaper. "It's fine, sit down and drink with us." Hussein's eyes darted wildly at the exposed parts of the other party, and he motioned to the three women and said, "Okay, brother, let me feed you some wine." A heavily made-up hostess sat down next to Hussein, picked up a glass of wine and leaned in, twisting her body and straining her voice. Hussein immediately showed an expression of enjoyment, pouting his lips and taking the wine in his glass into his mouth. At the same time, one pair of hands took the opportunity to grope the other. "Ouch, brother, you're so bad, I like it so much. Ha ha ha." The other two young hooligans also looked like pigs as they played and fought with the hostesses around them. Just as the music started to play and the women were happily moaning in the private room, the waves of sound got higher and higher. Bang! With a loud noise, the door to the private room was kicked open. It startled everyone in the room. "Hey, you're quite lively, having so much fun." Outside the door, there were a dozen people gathered at some point. In front of the crowd, there was a bald tattooed man and a young man in his early 20s. Hong Kaiyu was the first to enter the box, and he made a sound of admiration. "Are you Hussein?" Hussein was stunned, and glanced behind Hong Kaiyu. Each of them looked like a tough guy, and several of them were holding sticks and clubs. Hussein subconsciously swallowed. I am Hussein, what do you want with me?" "As long as you are Hussein, you haven't mistaken the person. Don't be in a hurry to speak. Come on, guys, beat him up first, and then we'll talk." Hong Kaiyu waved his hand at the crowd behind him, and suddenly a group of people rushed into the box and closed the door behind them. Hussein. Chapter 84, saying thank you with your mouth shows sincerity. Outside the box, the music was blaring, and countless men and women were cheering and dancing wildly, their passion unbounded. Inside the box, there were screams and cries, but no one felt pity. Just a wall separated the two, as if it were heaven and hell. The soundproofing in the box was quite good, and Hussein's screams would not attract anyone's attention. "Brother, no, don't hit me anymore, I was wrong, I know I was wrong, please let me go. I'm just a poor dog, I haven't done anything evil, please forgive me." Hussein was lying on the ground, crying bitterly. "Why am I so unlucky today? I've been beaten up twice in a row, and each time it's been worse than the last. Who the hell did I offend?" Hussein cried, really cried. It was partly because he was in pain from the beating, and partly because his mental state had broken down. The injustice made Hussein even more scared. These people were like maniacs, their actions were vicious and ruthless, and they didn't care about anything. In contrast, Wan Hua was worried about causing trouble, so the security guards were very careful with their actions. Otherwise, Hussein wouldn't have been able to stand here drinking after being beaten. But these fierce-looking guys were simply too ruthless, really too ruthless. So fierce that Hussein did not dare to resist, did not dare to yell, and could only scream and beg for mercy. Hussein was scared. He felt that if it continued like this, he would either be killed or crippled. I don't know whether to say that Hussein was lucky or unlucky. This metropolis happened to be opened by Hong Kaiyu. It was easy to track Hussein's movements through his black business car. Once Hong Kaiyu had confirmed that the other party was in his territory, he immediately rushed over from home. After figuring out which box Hussein was in, he led a dozen people who guarded the bar and barged in. These people were all thugs who were fierce by nature and naturally ruthless when it came to fighting. Hong Kaiyu waved his hand to indicate that everyone should stop for now, and then sat on the sofa with his arms spread out on the back of the sofa. "You're saying it's not done if you say it's not done?" Having got a breather, Hussein rolled over to the sofa. "Big brother, please spare me, you mustn't let them do it. I'll answer any questions you have, I'll do whatever you tell me to." Slap, slap, slap. Hussein kept slapping himself while kneeling on the ground begging for mercy. He would rather do the beating himself than let these people do it. If he got beaten by them again, he really wouldn't want to live. Seeing that the situation was almost over, Hong Kaiyu slowly asked, "You still remember what you did today, don't you?" His purpose for coming here today was not only to teach him a lesson, but also to fulfill Lin Ji's request. He wanted to find out who had assigned him to follow him. Hussein hurriedly nodded frantically. I remember, big brother, I remember everything." "Then tell me." "This morning, I followed the popular star Chu Siyu to dig up dirt on her. I happened to see her on a date with a man who looked like a rich second-generation heir, so I took some photos. Hong Kaiyu's eyebrows shot up. The rich second-generation heir the other person was referring to must be Brother Lin. What happened next? After that, I went to Wanghua Media to sell the information to them. Hong Kaiyu rubbed his chin. So, someone from Wanghua Media asked you to follow him? Hussein didn't know what the purpose of his question was, and hesitated. He originally wanted to sling mud at Wanghua, but was worried that he would be found out, and then he would be finished. He had to shake his head and choose to tell the truth. This is not the case. I have worked with Wang Hua a few times, and I have uncovered some big celebrity material that I have sold to him, so... Okay, I don't want to hear this nonsense. Who told you Chu Siyu's residence and told you to stake out the place? Hussein was stunned for a moment, opened his mouth, but before he could say anything, he was coldly interrupted. If you don't want to keep getting beaten up, you'd better not say stupid things like nobody. Hussein suddenly trembled all over, and cold sweat came out of him like crazy. He gulped hard, his voice trembling, and he said with a mournful face, Big brother, I heard from a tip that Chu Siyu might be living in Xinling Mansion, so I took someone over there to take a chance, and no one really told me directly. But, big brother. Afraid that the other party would be dissatisfied, Hussein quickly added, if you want to know who deliberately leaked the information about Chu Siyu's residence, I can help you find out, and as soon as I find out, I will let you know first. After saying this, Hussein felt like he was going to pass out. He looked at the group of ruthless people next to him with frightened eyes, afraid that they would charge at him again. Hong Kaiyu narrowed his eyes. You can find out? Hussein nodded like a pile driver, afraid that if he moved slowly, he would be beaten up. I am a professional paparazzi, I specialize in this, give me time, I will definitely find out who released the news. Hong Kaiyu frowned. It was good that he could find out, but... Isn't tonight's mission considered incomplete? I'll give you 1 week. Within 1 week, tell me who it is. Okay, 1 week, I will definitely find out. I'll let you off lightly. Hong Kaiyu got up and patted Hussein's face. Tonight, he had originally planned to let him lie in the hospital for 10 days and a half months, or even a year and a half, but since he still needed him to find the source of the anti-pickpocket gossip, he had to stop for the time being. 2 days later, Lin Yan drove Chu Siyu to the airport in a Bugatti Black Knight. Chu Siyu's face was still covered by a mask that covered most of her face, big black sunglasses, a wide-brimmed sun hat on her head, wearing brown jeans, and a big jacket. It was hard to recognize her from the outside. When Lin Yan sent him to the airport, there was only one female assistant waiting here, and the rest of the team left for Sanya yesterday. Chu Siyu was supposed to go to Sanya yesterday, but she insisted on proving to Lin Yan that even a simple thank you can be very sincere. As a result, her originally flawless red lips were really broken, and thanks to Lin Yan, he went to the pharmacy to buy some ointments to reduce swelling and inflammation. As a result, her original schedule had to be delayed by 1 day, but fortunately, it would not have much of an impact. There was still some time before the flight was due to take off, so Lin Yan didn't hurry to leave, and just stayed at the airport with Chu Siyu. Until the female assistant came over and reminded her, Sister Chu, the plane is about to take off soon, we need to go in. Okay, I know. Chu Siyu promised, turned her head to look at Lin Yan beside her, and said goodbye to him with some reluctance. I'll go first. Well, be careful, and remember to tell me when you get to Sanya. After Chu Siyu left, Lin Yan also quickly left the airport. Ring ring ring. On the way, Lin Yan was preparing to return to the Bamboo Grove Fairyland when he suddenly received a call from Qinwen. Chapter 85, Invitation. After answering the phone, Lin Yan spoke first. Hey, what's up, what do you need? Last time at the racetrack, I told you about an international car show, do you remember? Qinwen said. The car show is about to start, but it's not in Shanghai, it's in the imperial capital. I'm calling to let you know in advance, in case you forgot. Lin Yan had been thinking about asking Qinwen about this, and he was also quite interested in the car show. I didn't expect him to call first and mention it. I haven't forgotten, I'm still thinking about it. It's being held in the imperial capital, right? When is it? It officially opens this Saturday. You should remember to take some time and we'll go together. It's on Saturday? That's not for 2 days. Okay, I got it. Lin Yan said with a smile, do you have anything else? Yes, what are you doing right now? Do you have time to hang out for a while? That's fine, I'm free. Send me the address and I'll come over. Lin Yan thought for a moment and said, I'm actually free right now, I don't have anything to do. Okay, I'll send it to you now. After hanging up, Qinwen sent him a location on WeChat. It was the location of a restaurant, and it seemed to be on the Bund. According to the navigation, half an hour later, Lin Yan drove to this restaurant. Bugatti Black Knight. Is this the multi-million supercar? It's really damn cool. No wonder it's called UV. I never thought I'd see the Black Knight here. This trip has been worthwhile. If I could just meet the owner, I'd be over the moon. The black Bugatti Black Knight, having just arrived, immediately attracted the attention of all passers-by and guests. Under the shocked and envious gazes of the crowd, Lin Yan drove the car into the parking lot. The place Qinwen invited him to would definitely not be an ordinary restaurant. UV. The full name is Ultraviolet by Paul Pirate, which literally translates to ultraviolet restaurant. This restaurant is the only one in the whole of China to have 3 Michelin stars and 3 Black Pearl diamonds. This level of quality is definitely a presence at the national level. The global restaurant review platform ODE has selected the top 100 Asian restaurants, and this ultraviolet restaurant has been crowned champion for 2 consecutive years. Its class is self-evident. It is also the most expensive restaurant in the country, with a per capita consumption of 4,000 yuan. This price level can also rank among the top 50 in the world, and is basically unaffordable for the average person. In the restaurant parking lot, there are all kinds of luxury cars, each worth millions. It can be seen that the people who can come here are either rich or powerful, and none of them are ordinary. Lin Yan saw Qinwen's LaFerrari, and there was an empty space next to it, with several sports cars parked there. These sports cars looked familiar. They were from the group of rich second-generation kids from last time. Obviously, Qinwen didn't come alone. After parking the night vision next to the LaFerrari, Lin Yan walked towards the entrance of the restaurant, and at the entrance, he happened to see an acquaintance. Lin Gu. Hong Kaiyu, who was standing at the entrance, saw Lin Yan coming at once and immediately went up to him. Seeing Hong Kaiyu, Lin Yan said with a smile, "Why are you standing outside?" The two of them had met at the racetrack 2 days ago, and Hong Kaiyu had handled Hussein's business for him the day before. Lin Yan had a good impression of him. "Ha, I heard Brother Qin say that you were coming over, so I came out to wait for you. You didn't have to go to all that trouble." Lin Yan patted him on the shoulder and thanked him again for what he had done last time. "Lin Gu, you're too polite. It's a trivial matter. In the future, if there are any dirty jobs like this, you can tell me and I'll do it for you. I may not be able to do anything else, but I'm good at this kind of thing." Facing Lin Yan's gratitude, Hong Kaiyu quickly waved his hand, secretly admiring in his heart. Not bad for someone on the same level as Brother Qin, or even one level above. Not only is he quite low-key, but also very humble. This kind of bearing is really not common. Take these second-generation rich kids, for example. They usually stick their noses up in the air, and only when they face a boss who is more powerful than they are will they lower their tone a little. "Okay, if there's really something going on, I won't hold back," Lin Yan said. "Ah, okay, Lin Gu." The two walked into the restaurant. They quickly went upstairs to the largest and most luxurious private room 001. As soon as they arrived at the door, they could hear the noise coming from inside, the debauched laughter of the men, and the exclamations and screams of the women. Lin Yan's hand, which was about to push the door, paused. "They're not playing any multiplayer games in there, are they?" Thinking of something that had been rumored on the internet some time ago, Lin Yan turned his head and asked. Hong Kaiyu laughed and said, "Lin Gu, you're thinking wrong, we're not that high." Hong Kaiyu pushed open the door, and inside was first of all a lounge, with a few round tables, single sofas, and long sofas. Lin Yan saw that in addition to Qinwen, there were also a few boys in the box. Most of them looked familiar, and there were also 2 unfamiliar faces that he hadn't seen before. There were more than a dozen girls sitting on the sofa, of all shapes and sizes, and Lin Yan even saw 2 blonde foreign girls. They were all long-legged, thin-waisted, and curvy, and they were quite attractive. Moreover, because of the exotic temperament they exuded, they were more attractive and appealing than the average 90-point beauty. Lin Gu. "Lin Gu, you're here, everyone's been waiting for you." When Lin Yan was seen, the people in the box stood up and greeted him, and the few girls who had met him last time immediately trotted over and surrounded him. 2 bold girls took the initiative to hold his arm on the left and right. "This is a big shot, if there's a chance, you must find a way to get close to him." Lin Yan smiled and responded to everyone, "Just sit down, you're all being so polite, it's embarrassing for me." "Ha, since Lin Gu said so, let's hurry up and sit down." After the other rich second generation and Lin Yan greeted each other, they suddenly saw Hong Kaiyu walking in with him, and they all froze for a moment. After they reacted, they suddenly said sourly, "Damn, Hong Kaiyu, I wondered why I hadn't seen you for half a day, and it turns out you snuck out to wait for Lin Gu." "That's right, last time you took the credit, but that person was in your territory, but this time you went out to meet Lin Gu on your own, which is a bit hard to explain. Here, punish yourself with 3 cups, you won't get away with these 3 cups." "Ah, okay, I'll drink." Hong Kaiyu was smiling from ear to ear and didn't care at all. "Just 3 cups of wine, it's totally worth it." Chapter 86. I feel like you're pretending to drink. "Lao Lin, you finally arrived, I've been waiting for you for a long time." Xinwen, who was sitting at the far end, stood up as soon as he saw Lin Yan and greeted him. The 2 men behind him, who were sitting together, also hurriedly stood up and followed. One of them wore glasses and looked to be in his mid-20s. He had a refined appearance and was very gentle. The other one also looked to be in his mid-20s. He had an average appearance, was slightly overweight, and looked relatively strong. "Farting, it's only been half an hour since you called and I came over." Lin Yanxiao scolded. "Ha, half an hour is not a short time, I've only waited this long for a woman to take a bath before." Xinwen laughed and said, "Come on, you haven't seen these 2 guys before, let me introduce you." Saying this, he pointed to the young man wearing glasses on the left of the 2 people behind him and said, "This guy is called Shuehua. His family runs an airline company, China Shipping Airlines. Don't let his nerdy glasses fool you, he's a real ladies' man. He especially likes flight attendants. Those 2 foreign girls, he's the one who found them." Then Xinwen pointed to the slightly chubby guy on the right and introduced him. "This guy is called Wang Yuanming. His family is in the investment business. His father is a billionaire on the Chinese rich list with a net worth of hundreds of billions. This UV restaurant is his own." After the introduction, Xinwen turned his head again and said to the 2 people behind him, "This is Lin Yan, whom I just mentioned to you. Hello, Lin Gu." "Hello, Lin Gu." Shuehua and Wang Yuanming walked up from behind and extended their hands at the same time, very warmly. This man in front of them with his incredible looks was no ordinary person. The owner of the Bugatti Black Knight and the character that Xinwen wanted to befriend, not to mention Zheng Hai, there were not many people in the whole of China who had this kind of status. "Nice to meet you." Seeing how enthusiastic the other party was, Lin Yan naturally didn't want to be too formal, and shook the other person's hand, politely saying, "Hello." "Okay, sit down first, don't stand." Xinwen invited them to sit down. After the several people took their seats, Lin Yan took out a golden card from his pocket and handed it to Xinwen. "Lao Qin, this card is for you." "Card? What card?" Xinwen was stunned for a moment and asked in confusion. After receiving a small golden card with diamonds, and reading the words and a full moon-shaped pattern on it, Xinwen was shocked and let out a sound. "Holy shit, the Kyushu Hotel's full moon gold card?" Shuehua and Wang Yuanming heard this and leaned over to take a look, also shocked. "It really is the Kyushu Hotel's full moon gold card. Holy shit, Lin Gu, are you really going to give this away?" Lin Yan laughed. "It's just a gold card, is it really that big of a deal?" Xinwen took the gold card seriously and said, "Lao Lin, do you really not know or just pretend not to know? The full moon gold card is the highest level gold card of the Kyushu Hotel. It is said that there are currently less than 20 gold cards of this level issued to the public, and the owners are all the biggest bosses. Among the people I know, only my father and the fathers of Shuehua and Wang Yuanming each have a full moon gold card." Xinwen said, and gave Lin Yan a strange look. "How is it that this guy was able to get a full moon gold card? Doesn't that mean that he has already broken away from the level of these second-generation rich kids, and can be compared to their elders?" The Kyushu Hotel Gold Card is divided into 3 tiers, from lowest to most expensive: New Moon Gold Card, Half Moon Gold Card, and Full Moon Gold Card. Below that are the regular VLP membership cards. The Full Moon Gold Card not only enjoys a 50% discount on consumption, but also a variety of the highest specifications of services and priority. For these rich and second-generation rich, discounts and services are actually secondary. The most important thing is face. The Kyushu Hotel is definitely the highest specification and largest hotel in Asia, and its size even exceeds that of an average 100 billion group. And it issues less than 20 full moon gold cards, which are rare and precious. Others don't have it, but I do, and that's face. Xinwen only had a half moon gold card in his hands, which he had obtained with great difficulty. It was definitely the only one among all the second-generation rich. "If you give me this card, what about yourself? You won't need it anymore in the future. Don't tell me you have 2 of these gold cards. Moreover, these cards are all tied to identities. Even if you give it to me, I can't use it either. I feel that you are just showing off. As Qinwen was about to return the gold card, Lin Yan did not pick it up and said with a smile, I don't have the other one, but I own the Kyushu Hotel, so it doesn't matter if I want the gold card or not. Lin Yan shrugged, just take it and use it with confidence. I had someone bind your information to this card. What the hell? Qinwen almost jumped up. What did you say? The Kyushu Hotel is yours? It's just a hotel, and you're the young master of the Qin family, so you don't have to be so surprised. Qinwen? Are these words from a human being? I always feel that you are pretending to be something you are not, but I can't find any evidence. If it were any other hotel, I might be able to say that, but Kyushu Hotel is more than just a hotel, even though it is just one hotel. Xuehua and Wang Yuanming were also uneasy. Although they knew that Lin Yan was not an ordinary person, they didn't expect him to be so strong. What are you doing giving me this all of a sudden? Qinwen asked with a puzzled look on his face. You don't get something for nothing, and he understood this principle. You have helped me so many times, I can't not show my appreciation, or I would feel bad about it, Lin Yan said. You're being polite with me. Although he said this, Qinwen, in the envious eyes of Xuehua, Wang Yuanming, and the many rich second generation around them, took the gold card without any courtesy. The full moon gold card of the Kyushu Hotel, this is a good thing. Thank you. You're being polite with me. Everyone else looked especially envious. The fathers of Qinwen and the other 2 have them, but the fathers of the others don't. If they could get one, they could show it off. Just thinking about the shocked, incredulous expressions of their elders, who usually say every day that they are not engaged in proper work and only know how to have fun, is very exciting. Seeing Qinwen put it away, Lin Yan smiled, took out another gold card, and waved to Hong Kaiyu on the other side. This one is for you. Holy cow, Lao Lin, didn't you say there weren't 2? I said there were no 2 full moon gold cards, this one is not full moon. Qinwen took a look and it was true, this one was a new moon gold card. However, Qinwen knew that even with a new moon gold card, without the background of the 100 billion consortium, it would be impossible to get it, and it would be a great gift for Hong Kaiyu. Lin Gu, I'm embarrassed. While saying he was embarrassed, his face was beaming with a smile, and he quickly put the card in his pocket. What a face! The other rich second generation kids around looked both jealous and envious. Damn Hong Kaiyu. Qinwen and the others were just envious. After all, their levels were different, quite a bit higher than theirs, so there was nothing they could do. But towards Hong Kaiyu, who was more or less the same as them, it was outright jealousy. Thank you, Brother Lin. Chapter 87, Yacht Party. Hong Kaiyu was full of emotion and excitement. Brother Lin, in the future, if there is anything I can do, you just let me know, I guarantee I can help you. Brother Lin, we are the same. The other rich second generation also said the same thing. They secretly felt a pity that they had not been able to take credit for the last job, otherwise this gold card would have been theirs. Lin Yan smiled and didn't say anything else. The group chatted for a while longer, and the waiters in the restaurant began to serve the food. The waiter wheeled a cart into the private room and set the food down, while the stem glasses were filled with expensive red wine. Then the group moved to their seats. Lingu, I came in a hurry today and didn't prepare a little gift for you, so I'd like to propose a toast to you. After opening a bottle of red wine, Wang Yuanming poured a glass of wine for them and then raised his glass and said, Brother Lin, I'll drink to you too. Xuehua raised his glass and said, Come, I'll drink with you too. Qinwen said, Okay. The several people clinked glasses. After finishing the glass of wine, Qinwen said, after putting down his glass, Lin and I are planning to go to the International Auto Show in the capital together this Saturday. Are you two going? Sure, how can we miss such a lively event? Wang Yuanming said. On Saturday? I'm busy that day, I can't go. Xuehua said with regret. You mean the private yacht party, right? Xuehua said dejectedly, yes, that's the event. I have something to do on Saturday, so I can't go to the car show. It's okay, just tell me what car you're looking at, and transfer the money to me, I'll buy it for you and help you test drive it, huh? Get lost. Xuehua complained, my father has my credit card locked down so tightly that I don't have any spare money to buy another car for now. If you want, you can give me one. How about a Wuling Hongguang? Xuehua rolled his eyes. You'd give away a car that costs less than 5 million? Take it or leave it. Xinwen ignored him and asked, what about the time? Have you set a date yet? For now, it's set for next month. Okay, we'll go together if we have time. We'll show our support. Shuehua shrugged, if you want to go and have fun, just say so. What's the point of going to support you? You're not buying anyway. Shuehua, isn't your family in the aviation business? Why are you selling yachts? Lin Yan asked. Lin, this is the thing, this private yacht party will not only have yachts, but also various airlines, the world's top jewelers, and brands of lifestyle art. Those selling yachts will sell yachts, those selling planes will sell planes, and those selling jewelry will sell anchors. Shui Qi said. After all, yachts are very expensive. Only the really rich can afford them. With so many rich people gathering together, there's a big business opportunity. Things that are not easy to sell during the week might be sold at this time. Everyone will go to take a look. I see. Xinwen turned his head curiously and asked, Lin, haven't you heard of this private yacht party before? No. Lin Yan shrugged. Xinwen laughed and said, then you can't miss this time. Shall we go together? Seeing you like this, there must be something other than selling planes and yachts, right? Shuehua gave a sly smile and explained, hey, Lin, you should have heard of the Haitian Shangyin, right? This is similar to that, it's held in the South China Sea, and there will be a lot of women there. Lin, do you want to go check it out? Lin Yan's eyes lit up. Haitian Shangyin, that name is well known. Okay, I'll go check it out. Lin Yan remembered that the scenic spot he had previously obtained, the Phoenix Island reward, was near the South China Sea, so he could just go check it out. Yachts and airplanes and whatnot, he was quite interested in them too. Okay, I'll call Lin Ge then. The meal at the UV restaurant lasted a long time, and the meal didn't end until the evening. As soon as the meal was over, Lin Yan received a message from Chu Siyu, telling him that he had arrived in Sanya. Lin Yan took out his phone and sent her a message, expressing his concern. Xinwen saw Lin Yan sending a message and asked, Lin, are you busy later? No, why? If not, don't rush off. Why don't we drink a little longer? Sure. Lin Yan nodded. He had just had a drink, so he was temporarily unable to drive. Since he had nothing to do, he would just hang out for a while. The private room was very large. After the waiters finished cleaning up, they set out various drinks that had been prepared earlier. Everyone sat on the sofa, drinking and chatting. The girls from earlier also gathered around again, each rich second generation accompanied by a girl. Lin Xiao, let me pour you a glass. The girl surrounding Lin Yan was the most numerous, but the others had no problem with this at all, and it was obvious that it had been arranged long ago. These girls were quite perceptive, pouring wine for Lin Yan and moving their seats. What's more, they came over and tried to take advantage of him, appearing extremely attentive. Lin Ge, I don't know what kind of girls you like, so I prepared a few more. Are you satisfied with these girls? Do you need to call a few more over? Shuehua asked with a wink while taking advantage of the girl next to him. Lin, these girls are all clean, if you're interested, take whichever one you like, and you can take them home directly after we're done. Xinwen, who was standing nearby, also spoke up. Wang Yuanming also squeezed his eyes and said, yes, Lin, among us, Shui is the one who knows the most women. If you're not satisfied, let him contact them again, and he can immediately call them over for you. There are all kinds, and there are no duplicates. Lin Yan couldn't help but glance around at the several girls surrounding him. Apart from the two blonde foreign beauties, the rest were quite good-looking and of various types. Some were dressed like professional white-collar workers, some were sexy dancers, and there was a tall leggy model and a pure-looking female college student. There were also two cosplayers that Lin Yan didn't recognize, but they were indeed very pretty, and with their special costumes, wow. I have to say, they really know how to have fun. Is this the joy of being a rich kid? Forget it, I'm not into this. Lin Yan waved his hand. Haha, I knew it. Although these girls are not bad looking, they are much inferior to the ones next to you, and I guess you won't look at them either. Xinwen laughed. Lin Yan had seen the girls next to him. Both of them were super beautiful women with incredible looks, and although he had never met the other one, she was a big star with a great reputation. In comparison, these girls in the private room were a bit mediocre. That is, they are not blessed with this. Hearing that Lin Yan was not interested, Shuehua smiled and put the phone he had picked up back down. The second drinking session lasted until after 11 p.m. Because of the alcohol, Lin Yan did not leave either, and rested directly in the guest room. Chapter 88, Heading to the Imperial Capital. Boring days always pass quickly, and before long it was Saturday, the opening day of the Imperial Capital International Car Show. A lot had happened over the past 3 days. Lin Yan had conducted 3 live broadcasts, one per day. While watching the videos, he noticed that the recent restaurant reviews were quite popular, so he followed suit and did 2 restaurant review broadcasts. Although the quality was not as good as the previous 2 broadcasts, it was still quite good. After all, the subjects of Lin Yan's store visits were either the Kyushu Hotel or UV, which were high-end restaurants that ordinary people rarely got to go to once. The audience was once again treated to a feast for the eyes and went wild with excitement. Although Lin Yan personally felt that the quality was not as good as the previous one, perhaps because he had already broadcasted several times, his fan base had increased a lot and his fame had also increased a bit. More and more viewers were giving gifts. The task progress suddenly reached 25%. At this rate, if he is diligent in the next period of time, he has a chance to complete the task before the end of next week, and then he can open the new experience module. During the time when he is not live streaming, Lin Yan occasionally stays in the bamboo forest wonderland to enjoy life, or goes to find Mu Bingyao. However, except for the first day when he went shopping and watched a movie with Mu Bingyao, the next 2 days became busy all of a sudden because of the approaching press conference, and he did not have time to go out on a date with Lin Yan. Lin Yan understood, so every day he would only go over to Mu Bingyao when she was free to have dinner with her, and after dinner she would get busy again. Xu Siyu, who was far away in Sanya, was even busier. In order to finish filming early and return to Zhonghai, every day she was either filming or on her way to film. Although she was very busy, she would still find time every day to reply to the messages Lin Yan sent her or have a short video chat with him. 9 a.m. A Rolls-Royce Phantom drives out of the bamboo forest wonderland. This car is originally from the bamboo forest wonderland and is usually driven by Luo Andy. In addition, there is a truck for purchasing. At this time, Lin Yan is sitting in the Rolls-Royce, along with Zhang Xiaoling, who is still wearing a sweet-looking low skirt, and Su Mengwen, a beautiful ancient-style woman in a green hanfu. This time, Lin Yan is going to the car show to broadcast live again. During this time, Zhang Xiaoling has helped him with the live broadcast, and has become very skilled at it, so as long as they go out to broadcast live, Lin Yan will bring her along to help. Since they are going to the imperial capital this time, Lin Yan has brought along an extra person, Su Mengwen. Young master, shall we start the live broadcast and warm things up a bit? Lin Yan thought for a moment and said, well, okay, can you hold my mask for me? It's in the glove compartment. Okay. Putting on the mask, everything ready, Zhang Xiaoling took Lin Yan's phone and turned on the live broadcast. Hi, everyone, we are now on our way to the imperial capital, and will be able to broadcast the Imperial Capital International Auto Show to everyone soon. Aiming the camera at Lin Yan, Zhang Xiaoling said hello out of the frame. The live broadcast of the Imperial Capital International Auto Show finally began. I've been waiting for 2 days. Ever since the anchor said 2 days ago that they would be broadcasting the car show live, I haven't been able to eat or sleep, just waiting for the broadcast to begin. Welcome to the broadcast room of the host anchor, who doesn't show her face but can make people pregnant just with her voice, and the assistant anchor, who also doesn't show her face but has a sweet voice. The audience in the broadcast room teased Lin Yan and Zhang Xiaoling for not showing their faces. The audience in the broadcast room were not surprised by this broadcasting duo, they were used to it after all this time of broadcasting. It looks like Xu Gu is in a car. Is Xu Gu planning to go to the imperial capital in a sports car? Going to the imperial capital in a sports car, you've got some nerve. Are you going to watch the closing ceremony? No, this car doesn't look like a Bugatti Black Knight. Holy shit, is it a Rolls-Royce Phantom? Shit, is that the luxury car that sells for 100,000 renminbi for just one umbrella? Xu Gu has changed cars again, and it's still a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Awesome. When they saw the interior decorations and the logo on the steering wheel, the people in the live broadcast room couldn't help but be overwhelmed. Brother Xu, you're so rich, after the car show, do you want to buy a few sports cars? I have considered it. If there are some nice supercars on display, I might consider buying a few. Lin Yan said with a smile. Holy shit, considering buying a few, are these words from a human? Brother Xu is domineering, I suggest paying for everything. One dares to say, and the other dares to listen. Lin Yan chatted with the audience in the live broadcast room while driving to the airport, warming them up. Strange, today's live broadcast room doesn't seem to be very popular. It's been on for a while. Zheng Xiaoling looked at the live broadcast data on the backstage and said doubtfully. In the past, the popularity should have already exceeded 500,000 at this time, but today's popularity has been less than 200,000 since it started. Because there are so many hosts starting broadcasts today, and the Beijing International Auto Show is a traffic bonanza that many hosts want to take advantage of, so naturally the popularity is spread out. Yes, I just looked around, and the top outdoor hosts on the platform have all started broadcasts, with titles all about going to see the Beijing International Auto Show. And Chen Jun, the top outdoor host, happens to be from Beijing, so he's already hanging out near the auto show, and his popularity has already broken through the million mark. Wow, no way, that's too coincidental, there are actually so many anchors going live. Zheng Xiaoling tweeted, I didn't expect that there would be so many anchors broadcasting a car show at the same time. This competition for traffic is indeed a big blow to popularity. What should we do? Don't worry, just broadcast our own. Lin Yan comforted. Zheng Xiaoling looked like he was more anxious than him. Lin Yan's mentality was relatively good. You can't force these kinds of things to happen, just let it happen naturally. After all, he didn't start the car show, so he can't stop other people from broadcasting it, right? An hour later, the Rolls-Royce pulled into Shanghai International Airport. Passers-by on the roadside were attracted by this noble and magnificent luxury car. Such multi-million-dollar luxury cars are not common, and everyone's attention was drawn to it, taking out their phones to take pictures. Everyone, we're at the airport, so it's not convenient to continue broadcasting, so we'll temporarily turn off the broadcast. We'll see you in the imperial capital in 2 hours. Zheng Xiaoling said hello, turned off the broadcast, and followed Lin Yan into the airport. Pick up tickets, line up, and board the plane. The three of them happened to have seats in a row, next to each other. Lin Yan sat in the middle, with Zheng Xiaoling and Su Mengwen on either side. Originally, Qinwen had said he would go to the imperial capital with Lin Yan. However, 2 days ago, he happened to be called by his father to go to the imperial capital as a coolie, and he was unable to return for 2 days, so they had to meet in the imperial capital instead. Chapter 89, I'm panicking right now. Lin Yan attracted some attention when he first walked into the cabin. The reason was none other than his appearance, which was really too extraordinary. The two female companions by his side were also top-notch. It was really jealousy-inducing. Why? Not only is he so handsome, but the women around him are also so pretty. Cece, look, a super handsome guy. A short-haired girl whispered to her best friend, who was shaking her arm. Where? Where? The girl, who was originally playing with her phone, immediately turned around and peeked quietly. It's just to our left, in the front row. Holy shit! God, this face, it looks so much like my first love, I immediately got pumped up. Cece touched her big conscience and said, I've been on so many planes and high-speed trains, but this is the first time I've seen such a handsome young man. I said, can you two stop being such nymphomaniacs? You see a handsome guy and you just go all over the place. Can you be a little more mature? After all, you are both top graduates of Jinling University. A male companion standing next to the two women frowned and said discontentedly, I'm just telling the truth. So what if I'm a top student? Does that mean I don't have the right to admire a handsome guy? Cousin, are you jealous and deliberately targeting him? The short-haired girl shrugged her shoulders and said, Jealous? Me, jealous of him? Huang Ziyong scoffed, as if he had heard a joke. The valuation of my family's assets is already 5 billion, and the company I founded myself had a net profit of 10 million last year. He was indeed a little jealous, but not of Lin Yan's good looks, but of the fact that he was accompanied by two beautiful women. But he would never admit it. The plane passengers around him all looked askance. 5 billion in assets? He's a super rich second generation. Huang Ziyang enjoyed a moment of glory. The short-haired girl and her best friend didn't think it was funny at all. Look at you, and you say you're not jealous and targeting people. Exactly, cousin, they're also flying first class, how do you know they're not as rich as you? I never care if other people are rich or not, they're not as rich as me anyway. Huang Ziyong crossed his legs and showed off the 1.8 million Patek Philippe mechanical watch on his wrist. Although his words had a bit of a bragging tone, he wasn't worried about being turned down. After all, his words were based on reality. A family background worth billions was enough to make him look down on 99% of the people in the country. Not to mention the tens of billions and super tens of billions of these bigwigs, which were even rarer. People at this level either chartered planes or took private jets, so how could it be such a coincidence that he would meet such a bigwig here? So this bragging, he, Huang Zhiyong, was determined to do it today. Huang Zhiyong's voice was not deliberately concealed, and not only did the two short-haired girls hear it, the three in front of them, Lin Yan, naturally heard it as well. After hearing what the pretentious young man behind them said, Zheng Xiaoling and Su Mengwen both covered their mouths and laughed lightly. This person is really too funny, actually wanting to compare whose capital is stronger with the young master. The two women seemed to have heard the biggest joke of the year and almost couldn't help laughing out loud. Lin Yan, on the other hand, didn't even bother to turn his head. The class is too low. The short-haired girl and her best friend, who had been peeking at Lin Yan, immediately noticed Zheng Xiaoling and Su Mengwen, who were covering their mouths and laughing lightly. Tomorrow, their entire conversation would be overheard by the other party. The two of them blushed slightly and felt a little embarrassed. The short-haired girl glared at Huang Zhiyong in dissatisfaction, complaining, "Cousin, look at you, everyone is laughing, can't you keep your voice down? If you keep this up, I will definitely tell my aunt when we get to the imperial capital." Huang Zhiyong raised his eyebrows and pouted, Okay, I won't talk anymore. These days, people won't even let you tell the truth. It takes 2 hours to fly from Zhenghai to the imperial capital. Just after noon, the plane arrived at the imperial capital international airport. Lin Yan was preparing to get off the plane with Zheng Xiaoling and Su Mengwen. At this time, Huang Zhiyong, who was passing by them, didn't forget to act like a show-off before leaving. "Xiao Qian and Cici, I have arranged for someone to pick us up. The car is a Bentley. In this society, you can't get anywhere without money and connections." "Okay, cousin, you've gone too far." The short-haired girl, Xiao Qian, said helplessly, and quickly pulled him off the plane. Shortly after the short-haired girl went down, Lin Yan also led someone off the plane. As soon as Lin Yan got off, he noticed that everyone who was walking in front of him had stopped and looked around, so he couldn't help but follow their gaze. He saw several expensive supercars parked not far away. You have to know that in airports, foreign vehicles are generally not allowed to enter. But these supercars had actually driven in, and at the front was a famous one, the 40 million yuan Bugatti Veyron. Behind it were supercars worth nearly 10 million yuan each. This was a fleet of supercars worth hundreds of millions of yuan. "Hey, Lin Gu." After seeing Lin Yan get off the plane, Wang Yuanming got out of the driver's seat of the Bugatti Veyron, waved at him, and walked over. "Yuanming, why did you come over here?" While Brother Qin is still busy with his father's instructions, I have nothing to do at the moment, so I simply came to the airport to pick you up." Wang Yuanming reached out and put his arm around Lin Yan's shoulders and beamed. "Lin Gu. Lin Gu." Several supercars behind them also got out a few people, and they were none other than the second-generation rich kids Hong Kaiyu and the others. "Thank you for coming all the way here to pick me up." Lin Gu, we're such good friends, you shouldn't have bothered." "Lin Gu, shall we go now?" "Okay, let's go." The group got back into their cars and drove to the hotel. Because everyone there was in a two-seater sports car. Lin Yan rode in Wang Yuanming's car, while Hong Kaiyu let Su Mengwen drive his car, as she happened to be able to drive. He himself rode in someone else's car. This fleet of luxury supercars, worth 100 million, left with a series of low-engine roars. The passengers who had just gotten off the plane looked at this scene in shock. What a show! Wow, what a handsome, stylish man. Wow, there are so many supercars, and they're all super rich kids. The one in the lead looks like a Bugatti Veyron, a 40 million supercar. Holy shit, a fleet of 100 million cars, I'll be satisfied if I can buy one of the cheapest ones in my life. Holy shit, there's actually such a big shot on the same plane as me. Hurry up and take a picture, I can brag about this for a year. As she watched the supercar convoy recede into the distance, Xiaoxian, the short-haired girl, looked at her cousin Huang Zhiyong with a displeased expression. "Cousin, I have to tell Auntie about this. You actually offended a big shot on the plane for no reason. Do you know what serious consequences this could have if the other person holds a grudge?" Huang Zhiyong. Seeing the smoke that had slowly dispersed, Huang Zhiyong's forehead was also covered in cold sweat, and his mouth twitched. He wasn't worried about Xiao Qian telling on him, but was afraid that it would really be like Xiao Qian said, and the other person would hold a grudge. Bugatti Veyron. A convoy of 100 million cars to greet you, what kind of big shot is this? Huang Zhiyong didn't dare to think about it, not at all. He never expected that he would just happen to pretend to be a big shot in front of a super big shot. What is this called? It's urgent, what should I do now? I'm panicking. Chapter 90, Rebate Mission. As the central city of China, the imperial capital is naturally one of the most prosperous cities in all of China. Perhaps the only city that can be compared to it is Shanghai, known as the City of Demons. The Imperial Capital International Exhibition Center, located in the Third Ring Road, was bustling with activity today. Since the morning, a large number of tourists and pedestrians had gathered here. The long-awaited annual Imperial Capital International Auto Show had finally opened. From the billboards hanging outside the exhibition center, you can see that this exhibition brings together almost all the well-known car brands from all over the world. The scale of this car show is quite large, with everything from hundreds of thousands of ordinary cars to tens of millions of supercars. As long as you have the money, there is no problem at all if you want to buy a car you like. It also happens to be the weekend, which has attracted countless people to come and visit. A black Bugatti Veyron led a magnificent convoy of supercars into the Imperial Capital International Exhibition Center, instantly attracting the attention of the tourists and pedestrians queuing outside the exhibition. So many supercars, it looks like they're all second-generation rich kids. Bugatti Veyron. I heard that there are a few of the same class of supercars on display at this exhibition. These rich people are probably here for them, right? Of course, how could rich people who can afford these supercars come in person for a sports car that costs 2 or 3 million? Under the envious gaze of the tourists, these supercars pulled up to the specially prepared parking spaces, and Lin Yan and the others got out. Young master, we'll be entering the venue soon, should I start the live broadcast now? Zheng Xiaoling walked over to Lin Yan and asked. Wait until we're inside before you start, and be careful not to film any of our people. Lin Yan said. Okay. Lingu, is she your anchor friend? Wang Yuanming asked. No, I'm the one who's going to broadcast live, and she's my assistant. Broadcast live? Wang Yuanming obviously froze for a moment. It was the same reaction as everyone else who had heard about this before. How could someone in Lin Ji's position do something so unworthy of his status? Lin Yan smiled, I have to find something to do, otherwise I'll just be like Lao Qin and Lao Shui, with nothing to do every day, wasting away my life on women. Puff, ha ha ha. Wang Yuanming smiled and said, according to what you said, Lingu, it makes sense. Let's go in and have a look. Lin Yan said. Okay. Lin Yan and Wang Yuanming walked in front, heading towards the entrance of the VIP passage, the others followed behind. Zheng Xiaoling and Su Mengwen fell behind, setting up the live broadcast equipment and starting the live broadcast as they entered the venue. Hello, body, everyone, I've kept you waiting, but we've now arrived at the Imperial Capital International Exhibition Center, and from now on, the live broadcast of the car show will officially begin. As soon as the live broadcast started, the audience, who had been waiting, poured into the broadcast room, and the broadcast room became lively. We've been waiting for so long, and it's finally started. Can you take us to see the new BMW? What BMW? You're so low. Of course you go to a car show like this to see a Ferrari. Yes, and a Lamborghini. Don't worry, we'll see everything you want to see. Zheng Xiaoling walked forward while moving the camera, sweeping past the backs of Lin Yan and the others in front of her and turning to the various luxury cars parked around the exhibition. It really is a BMW. Damn, there are so many people, I really want to go see it in person, but unfortunately it's too far away. I can see the car model. Oh no, I can see the car, phew. What big, bright headlights. Stop shaking, I get carsick. The venue is quite large and divided into multiple areas. After entering the auto show hall, the first thing you see is the luxury car show booths and crowds of people. The first exhibition area at the outer edge of the venue is the exhibition area of BMW, one of the famous brands of the BBA. BMW is a German car brand affiliated with the BMW Group. It is considered one of the main representatives of European and American car brands, and is also the most well-known mid to high-end car brand among Chinese people. The BMW exhibition area was packed with people at this time. The modern design of the exhibition area, illuminated by rows of lights, illuminated the space to the smallest detail. Various types of BMW cars were parked on the exhibition stand, none of which were models priced below 500,000 yuan. It was dazzling and overwhelming. However, the most eye-catching thing was the tall, fair-skinned and beautiful car models standing next to each car. Compared to the BMW with its smooth lines, the model next to the car is obviously more curvy. It has attracted the attention of countless tourists and photographers. The model is dressed in sexy and revealing clothes. Leaning against the car, she occasionally strikes a provocative pose, accentuating her already hot body and posture. It's very eye-catching. It seems that the organizers of the car show are also people of character, and they put a lot of thought and effort into selecting the models. They know that half of the many visitors to the car show are not there to see the cars, but the car models. They are holding their phones or cameras in their hands, taking photos of the beautiful car models at each booth. In particular, the booth of a BMW M8 has the largest crowd gathering. Zhang Xiaoling also pointed her phone lens in that direction. There was no way around it. The booth was in the most eye-catching position, and the car model on the booth, the car on the booth, was again the most beautiful and attractive in the BMW exhibition area. Sure enough, as soon as the lens was aimed at the booth, the rhodium cesium bismuths in the live broadcast room became restless instantly. Holy shit! What a beautiful car, I really want to ride it, just try sitting in it. As a 10-year veteran driver, I can tell you that I can feel the comfort of the leather seats and the feel of the steering wheel through the window. It must be pretty nice. Holy shit, 666 upstairs, a bunch of cows. This is not a car for going to kindergarten, let me out. Little assistant, I can't see, hurry up, take us over there, get a little closer so we can see a little better. Just take a look here, everyone. This is just the first exhibition area. I'll take you to the other exhibition areas later. Zhang Xiaoling said. It was impossible to get any closer. Zhang Xiaoling was worried that this would block the broadcast. Then she turned the camera again and swayed in front of various different car lights, and the atmosphere in the broadcast room grew more and more excited. In just a few minutes, the viewership had exceeded 300,000. In front, Lin Yan, who had just entered the venue, suddenly paused. The system prompt, which had not appeared for a long time, suddenly sounded in his head again. Ding, trigger system task, car purchase rebate.